Possession and utilization of fireworks are allowed on New Year's Eve from 9 a.m. until 1 a.m. and again on New Year's Day from 9 a.m. until 10 p.m., provided that they are at least 1,000 feet from a gas station or industrial facility. For more information on our ordinances, visit stcharlesparish.gov and hover over Government on the main menu at the top of our website. You can find codes of ordinances underneath the Parish Council section. St. Charles Parish wishes all of our residents a safe and happy New Year. And that was the 411 on fireworks. Get the 411 on outdoor warning sirens. Know your parish. Our outdoor warning sirens are owned and maintained by the Waterford 3 nuclear facility and are tested at noon on the first Thursday of every month. Waterford 3 has allowed St. Charles Parish to use the sirens for other emergency situations, including tornado warnings, hurricane events, and any other event that poses an immediate and severe threat to the community. If the sirens sound, residents should stay calm, turn on your radio or television to a reliable news source, including SCP TV, and residents should not use the phone as lines are needed for official business. For more information about what to do in an emergency, go to stcharlesparish.gov, hover over departments, and click on Emergency Preparedness. To sign up for emergency alerts, text SCP Alerts to 888-777. And that's the 411 on outdoor warning sirens.
Get the 411 on large items.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Charles Parish Council meeting on Monday, December 16th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers in the parish courthouse. Please silence all electronic devices and remove all hats. This meeting is called to order with a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance from Pastor Troy D. Smith, Sr. with True Vine Baptist Church in Hanville.
All heads bowed. Dear God, we thank you yet for another day to be on the land of the living. Dear God, we come to tell you thank you. As we enter into this 12th mile of the way, dear God, as we meet in this council meeting, dear God, we would that you would direct our minds in wisdom as well as compassion. We're asking right now that you will cover each and every one of our council persons. Dear God, we thank you. It is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and with justice for all.
Thank you very much, Pastor Smith. All right, approval of the minutes. I need a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of December 2nd. I have a motion by Mr. Commodell, second by Ms. Skiba. Please cast your votes. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, special business proclamation, canvas, returns, etc. 2024-0411 in recognition, Ms. Olivia Tate, the Board of Adjustment. Ms. Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President deeply appreciated your years of service on the St. Charles Parish Board of Adjustments. Olivia Tate, District 1 Representative, December 7, 2016 through December 7, 2024. And Ms. Tate is here.
Good evening. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the council for allowing me the opportunity to serve in St. Charles Parish. It was definitely a learning experience, and I did learn a lot, and I appreciate that opportunity. LaShondra, I thank you, and I thank you all again.
Thank you for your service, Ms. Tate. All right, file number 2024-0412 in recognition, Mr. Webb J., the Board of Adjustment. Mr. Pearley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President deeply appreciate your years of service on the St. Charles Parish Board of Adjustment. Mr. Webb J., District 3 Representative, December 7th, 2016 to December 7th, 2024. And Mr. J. is here to accept.
I'd just like to thank Mr. Peely, the council, and parish president for the opportunities that I've been given in this parish to serve. It's always an honor and a privilege to serve this community, and I'll continue to do so in whatever capacity God allows. So thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you personally to both of them because they're longtime commissioners. We go back to my days on the ZBA, so always thoughtful, always well involved. So again, thank y'all, and I look forward to seeing what comes next in y'all lives. All right, 2024-0413, in recognition, Mr. James J. Crasher Jr., Planning and Zoning Commission. Mr. Pele.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President deeply appreciate your years of service on the St. Charles Parish Planning and Zoning Commission. James J. Crasher Jr., District 3 Representative from April 18th, 2022 to November 7th, 2024. And Mr. Crasher is supposedly here to accept. Well, sorry. He's not here.
Yeah, I don't think he's here.
Sorry.
We'll get that sent out to him.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Pele. Next on the agenda, 2024-0414, in recognition, Marilyn Jackson, Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. The Parish of St. Charles, December 16, 2024. The St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President deeply appreciate your years of service as a member of the Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. Ms. Marilyn Jackson, November 10th, 2020 to September 25th, 2024. Did I see Ms. Marilyn come? There she is.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. First, giving honor and praise to God, who is the head of my life, to all of you, Parish President, the Council Board, and everybody's here assembled. I'm just ever so thankful and so grateful for the opportunity to have been chosen and selected to work as a commissioner. It was really, really special to me, and like Jay Webb said, I'm just available to see what comes up next in the future. I'm ready, I'm willing, and I'm able, and I thank each and every one of you.
Thank you, Ms. Marilyn. All right, next on the agenda, reports, Finance Administrator. Everybody's okay over there? All right. Reports, Finance and Administrative Activities. 2024-0415 RSVP Program, Ms. Jeannie Araby.
Good evening. I have the report for retired and senior. This year, we had 306 St. Charles Parish volunteers, which served over 22,876 hours to volunteer throughout the parish. The events that they served was for the July 3rd celebration, the Letters to the Soldiers. Then we had hurricane preparedness. Brought back the mystery trips for the active volunteers, which they really enjoyed, and then volunteering at the Destran Plantation. Plus, we also celebrated the National Volunteer Week toy and gift event, which we had this Saturday, and we had over 1,400 children there. Battle for the Paddle, Senior Mardi Gras Dance, Fall Fest and Triad, Beanbag Baseball. We offered seniors AARP tax aid and movie days. Now, before we move on, I'd like to read a little thing for y'all. Before I turn the presentation over to Mr. Foray, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Parish President and the council for supporting me as RSVP Director for the past 6 years. December 20th will be my last day going into office. 35 years ago, my first job was to help get the millage passed so we could have a St. Charles Parish Recreation Department. I have gone from being a recreation clerk to being appointed as RSVP Director, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I love this job, and the seniors mean the world to me as they have become a second family to me. Again, thank you for your support, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter of my life. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the council, Parish President Jew, and again, Jeannie, I had the pleasure working with you for 17 of the 35 years. If anyone deserves to ride off into the sunset on a high note, it's definitely you, where you can enjoy the latter part of your life. And we will always be there for you and support whatever you need. Now, I know you're going to stay active, but going forward, this was a great time. We can transition into something new. We've been talking about it quite some time now. We brought it up at the budget hearings, transferring from RSVP to primetime seniors. We're not taking away any of the wonderful things we have been doing. We're looking to enhance the program. Where we find 55 and over seniors in our parish represent a large portion of our residents. You know, when you look at in 2020, the average age was 34. Here in 2024, we're almost at 38.2 average age of the citizen here in St. Charles Parish. So we have a wonderful opportunity ahead of us. We have a kickoff party planned January 9th. We've been able to sign up a bunch of seniors at the last couple senior events we had, the Halloween festival, and also our senior luncheon we just had this past Thursday. So we had about 250 seniors. We continue to get the word out. This thing is like a seed, but we want to continue to cultivate it and watch it grow. So on the 9th, we have a lot of individuals within our community that have set up a little booth, talk about what the needs, what they want to see going forward. I know our first year, we're going to dive into a few things we already have planned, but when we get the feedback from our seniors, because ultimately this is their program going forward. So once we get that feedback, we can start hitting those things that they want to see in their community. So I'd ask anybody, if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them, and I'd ask for your support as we have been getting that going forward. So thank you so much.
Miss Jeannie, I'm going to embarrass you. Could you come back up? You and I spent some time together over the few years with a couple of events and that.
Yes.
And I know this past Saturday was, kind of heartwarming. So you and I's relationship goes back to when Zachary first started
Yes.
recreation and that, and chasing around, getting uniforms and the rest of that. And then working with you on the Toy and Gift Fund, your passion and your heart was the kids of St. Charles Parish. So I believe Mr. Foray said it best. So we appreciate everything you do. We know you're not going away.
Nope.
No, because I'm going to need you. Okay? But please, go enjoy yourself.
I will.
You've worked hard. You deserve it.
Thank you.
Thank you again for everything you do. All right, y'all had to indulge me for a minute there. And next on our list is 2024-0416, Civil Service Board and Personnel Office. Ms. Dana Parker, please.
It will be hard to follow up all the great accomplishments by Miss Jeannie Araby, and she definitely will be missed. So, good evening, Council Chair, Council members, Parish President Jewell. I'm here to present personnel activities for 2024. The Personnel Office manages all aspects of human resources, of the human resource function for parish personnel. This includes employment, the employment process of recruiting and onboarding, the coordination and administration of employee benefits, the interpretation and administration of civil service rules and all parish policies, and of course, so much more. There have been no changes in our staff, so we are fortunate to have great knowledge and experience in personnel. With the implementation of Paycom, which I will cover a little bit later, some responsibilities for our staff have changed slightly. However, we see this as an opportunity to be more efficient and focus on other areas of HR. These are our current employment statistics, which include final headcount for 2024. Our current headcount is 677. This includes everyone that is currently on our parish payroll. In comparison, last year for my presentation to you all, our head count was 634. This increase primarily is from our full-time civil service head count. We were at 404 civil service employees, full-time civil service employees last year. I do believe this is attributed to an increase in retention of current employees as well as attracting new employees. Regarding our hiring statistics, in 2022, following the job study, we saw an increase in internal hiring. In 2023, we saw an increase in external hiring. And in 2024, we saw a balance of internal and external hiring, which is very healthy for our workforce as we have both experienced employees filling positions and gaining new perspective from external hires. The ability to offer a higher rate of pay continues to be a competitive advantage to attracting experienced employees, especially in hard-to-fill positions, such as our equipment operators, our mechanics, our engineers, typically those more skilled positions. In addition, we've been working on policy changes that positively impact our employees, which helps with retention. These are our retirement statistics. Retention of current employees and attracting experienced new hires continues to be critical as we have many years of experience leaving through retirement. We had 19 retirements in 2023, 12 retirements this year in 2024, and we currently have 23 employees in drop, so we know that those employees can be leaving us at any point that they choose. For the remainder of my presentation, I will share a few personnel activities that have been impactful. I'm sure you're aware of our benefits renewal this year, so I won't spend much time here, but I did want to acknowledge this. We continue to see an increase in claims and prescription drug costs within the past year, and this will continue to be the trend. So we did see a substantial increase in the 2024 renewal. The initial increase was 21.1%. Our parish administration did negotiate that down to 19.7%, still very high renewal. We did continue to offer the HMO and the PPO plan with the same coverage as last year. However, due to the rising cost, our employees did see a slight increase of $25 for single coverage and $75 for family coverage. We still feel like these premiums remain relatively low, and we will work to continue providing quality benefits at an affordable cost to our employees. We are looking to expand our benefits. As you know, last year, we added short-term disability. Next year, we're planning to offer a flexible spending account as an option for our employees. As we continue to see an increase in claims and prescription drug costs, it is critical for us to promote health and wellness activities through our wellness program. This year, for our wellness program, Blue Cross implemented a new wellness portal, and that allows employees to actually access their wellness activities through an app. So we know how our employees, it's easier to access things through an app than a website, so this was a great benefit to our employees. As part of the program, we offer on-site wellness screenings, we offer individual one-on-one health coaching, we promote other wellness activities and challenges. This fall, we actually offered a free exercise program through Ochsner Performance Training. This was a program for 2 days a week that our employees were able to attend and get kind of personal training at the Bridge Park and as well as at Ochsner and Destrehan. Dana Frank, our wellness coordinator, continues to be an asset for our wellness program by being visible and accessible to our employees for their assistance. I'll highlight a few policy changes that we feel are impactful to our employees. Probably most important to me, well, aside from Paycom, is our paid parental leave. This is a new policy approved by the Civil Service Board to provide paid leave for childbirth, as well as child bonding. So the policy allows for up to 4 weeks for childbirth leave and up to 2 consecutive weeks for child bonding. To my knowledge, this is the first policy to specifically address childbirth and child bonding paid leave for our employees. The next policy that we addressed was the leave accrual process. So the Civil Service Board approved a change to how annual leave and sick leave are earned for our employees. This change allowed employees to earn per pay period instead of waiting for the quarter to end. The earning rate was determined based on years of service and how much annual and sick leave as an employee currently earns. The amount of leave earned per year did not change. So that did not change. It was just how they earned the leave. This was actually accomplished because of the change to Paycom, which again I'll discuss shortly. Both of these policies provide benefits that address areas that are important to employees in today's workforce. Paycom. So the second half of this year has primarily been dedicated to our transition to Paycom. Paycom is a comprehensive HR and payroll system or solution that simplifies and automates the employee life cycle from onboarding to retirement. Our previous HR and payroll systems were very compartmentalized. This created a lot of challenges, duplication of work, paper processes, a lot of paper for our onboarding process for new hires coming in. All employee personal information changes, employees had to come to the courthouse, actually fill out a paper to create that change to their direct deposit, to their tax forms, to their address, all of those kinds of things. Initiating pay and benefit changes between departments, literally we had to print out a paper and walk it down the hall to the finance department to initiate a payroll change. And then annual and sick leave requests and approvals were done mostly by paper in departments. There was limited employee interaction and review of timesheets, limited manager involvement. Pay statements were received after processing. There was a cumbersome electronic timesheet system. 2 departments and other agencies were actually still on paper timesheets after an implementation of about 8 years, because that's how long I've been here, and when I started, that process was changing. And we had difficulty with tracking annual training and distributing that training. These challenges and inefficiencies led us to explore some other options and bring us more up to date with our human capital management software. Paycom will enhance the overall employee experience while streamlining HR and payroll processes. We now have an employee self-service where employees can review and approve their own time cards in advance. They can request time off and access leave balances on a regular basis. They can maintain their own personal information. They have access to their benefits. They can manage their dependents and their beneficiaries. They have ease of access to previous pay statements. They can now approve their check in advance. And we also have Paycom Learning, which will make our training more efficient and also be a resource for employee development. Regarding managers' involvement, they now have more manager-employee accountability. They can approve employee time cards, whereas before we were having a lot of our administrative staff do that work, which is a lot of responsibility on an admin person. They can manage and approve employee leave. They assign training to employees and access training for their own personal development, and they manage employee performance through electronic interface. This transition has not been without challenges, as I'm sure you all are aware. I want to thank and acknowledge Stacy Dumestri, our payroll lead, who has been instrumental in this transition. In addition, my personnel staff, the payroll staff, Samantha DeCastro, and Grant Dusum, who also provided support throughout the transition. We have an experienced civil service board. I have the names for you there: Mr. Redmond Cheney, Brett Terrebonne, Sarah Champion, Jim Carlson, and Pat O'Malley. We've had 4 civil service meetings this year. The agendas were very impactful. I've shared some of the policy changes with you. I've also provided a lot of updates to the Civil Service Board on employee benefits, on the performance evaluation process, and on the Paycom system as well. We added to the civil service rules and regulations the paid parental leave, and the changes that we made were to bereavement leave for clarity. We refined the sick leave use prior to retirement. We also changed the merit increase. Employees can now be eligible for a merit increase after they've been with us for 6 months. That was a change that was made. And then also we made the change to how sick and annual leave was accrued. So that's a lot. This includes my personnel report. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All righty. Ms. Wilson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question in reference to retirement.
Yes.
So the 23 employees that are in drop,
Yes.
I think I just find it a little bit low for the number. So is the number low because they're not eligible to go into drop, they're not eligible to retire, or?
Some employees can be eligible to retire, but decide not yet to go into drop.
Okay.
Once you go into drop, you have 3 years.
Correct.
And then once you hit that final, at the end of that 3 years, you can, at that point, retire.
Right.
Or you can decide to go back to work.
Right, I understand
So some people decide to just prolong their regular work time and not go into the drop until they feel like they're ready. So we
Okay.
could have employees eligible to retire, just not in drop.
So they just chose not to, because I just find that this number is kind of low, of the individuals that are currently in drops. I was just wondering if there are any programs that you offer, any meetings that you may have with the employees to advise them on the benefits of drop.
So our benefits specialist, Renee Garcia, she meets one-on-one with employees regularly whenever they are becoming eligible to retire. It's best, these are kind of sensitive conversations, so it's really best to come kind of one-on-one. However, to your point, I certainly think there's always room to provide a seminar or something on drop because it can be very confusing.
Yeah, because everyone's situation is different. So you can be in the workforce, and they can be saying drop for this and drop for that.
Yes.
But it's always their story. So even if you do a general, and then for the individuals, to have them to meet individually.
Yes.
All righty.
So Daniels?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had one question about when we talk about various, benefits, and it's important to promote those to try to get additional workers. Can you tell me a little bit more about the revision to the sick leave used prior to retirement?
Yes, so our employees can roll over large amounts of sick time. And when I came to the parish, there was no policy in place to how that leave could be used to bridge the gap. So we have a policy that when an employee is out on sick leave for more than 1 week, we have to offer them family medical leave. So when an employee went out for more than 1 week on sick leave, of course, my request was for family medical leave. This did not make sense if the employee was looking to use their sick leave for retirement, to bridge the gap to retirement. So we thought it beneficial to put a policy in place to reward those employees and allow them to use that time to bridge that gap to retirement. It's been very well received by our employees. And it creates a policy so that it can be more organized.
And what is the maximum amount of accrual of sick leave?
So 6 months, that is our policy. They can use up to 6 months.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Parker, appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thank you all.
All right. Moving right along. 2024-04-17, Parish President's remarks and report. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. I just first want to say thank you again to all of our retiring commissioners and all those who've been serving on the ZBA, the Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as the Housing Authority Board. We always need good people from the community to serve. So if you're out there and listening and you're interested in serving, please give the parish a call or contact one of your council members to let them know that you would be willing to serve on one of these commissions. All right, first, today we were able to cut the ribbon on the Destrehan 2 pump station improvement as well as the hydraulic bottleneck in the Dunleith Canal. This project is totaling about close to $12 million, which improves our drainage infrastructure in the Destrehan watershed. The pump station was about $9.2 million. The bottleneck was about 2.7, puts us about 11.958. So we're just calling it 12. Really great to see that station up and running and actually able to pump at its full capacity. As we know for many years, we just couldn't get enough water to this pump station to actually run the pump station properly. So we've solved that problem, and it's going to have a big impact on the overall watershed. We also gave residents a tour of the pump station itself, so they were able to come in and see how a pump station actually works to protect the community. We talked about some of the 21st century technologies we use that allow us to operate pump stations remotely, and so that they understand that if it's raining, they don't have to send me a Facebook message asking me to turn the pumps on, that they are running, and that that we are on it and watching both in person and remotely. Next, we have good news on our month's pump station 408. The 408, for those in the audience and those at home listening, is basically a permit number for the Corps of Engineers, and it's a dreaded number to ever hear because it is the most cumbersome permit that you could ever possibly request from the Corps. It involves a series of engineering reviews, environmental reviews, technical reviews, and in this case, because we are trying to pump water into the spillway, which is owned by the Corps of Engineers, we had to provide a 408 permit. Part of this was also getting and figuring out how much land we had to mitigate, how much wetlands we had to mitigate to be able to build our pump station. So we were able to get that letter. The council had already approved for me to initiate the purchase of those credits. So the credits have been paid for, and that's moving right along. We are expecting to bid this pump station in January of next year. So huge accomplishment. We've been working on this for, I guess it'll be 3 years in March. And the majority of that time has been permitting. So just for our folks in the audience and at home, understand that when we do big projects like this, especially when we have to deal with the Corps, sometimes it takes years for us just to receive a permit to proceed. But we're happy to be where we're at. Again, January anticipated bid date, May anticipated bid date for pump station number 2 out there. Coronado Pump Station improvement, or pump station rehabilitation, Public Works, while doing preventative maintenance, noticed that we had a pump at Coronado that needed some TLC. So Terry Wixell's group got a crane out there, and they pulled that pump, and is being brought to a shop to take care of it, get it back working at full capacity. And this is kind of just our commitment to making sure that we're inspecting and maintaining our pumps, at the highest possible level. Coronado Pump Station is really not a pump station you ever hear us talking about. It's a very small pump station. It focuses on just a couple of streets in Coronado. And so, but we're treating all of them as if they're a major pump station. And so we just appreciate Terry and his crew working on that. We just want to highlight some of the work that kind of goes on behind the scenes that our folks don't really just see every day. Next, we have our East Bank water intake. As you know, this 16-inch water intake was destroyed by a barge that came loose in the Mississippi River during Hurricane Ida, forced us to have to shut all of our water production down on the East Bank for a period of about 48 hours before we were able to get it back up and running. And we'd been using a temporary system ever since to provide water on the East Bank. But the contractor has been doing a great job. They're also installing 48-inch bumper piles, and we're doing it in a way with extra dolphins and just a more robust structure that allows us to hopefully not have to, but withstand another barge strike in the future should that happen. This is something that we already did on the West Bank by bolstering dolphins in front of our West Bank water intake. Again, this contract is slated to end in June, but the contractor is anticipating being done before that, and we hope that happens. Okay, next, we are almost complete on our government buildings contract to renovate the first floor. That includes the clerk of court's office and the sheriff's tax collection office. And furniture is being installed now. Obviously, next week will be a little bit of a short week, and so they're anticipating all of those folks who are currently in temporary offices to move back in the first week of January. So we're excited to have all those folks back in the building. Again, once this is done, this will mark the last project of the courthouse. You'll have all 3 floors of the courthouse that have been renovated. As you know, we completed the second floor renovation of the judges' chambers and courtrooms just at the end of last year. Okay, over to animal control. Our animal control officers have been working on community outreach with pet visits to Mimosa Park, Ethel Scheffner, East Bank, and West Bank Head Start, Luling Elementary, St. Rose Elementary, Norco Elementary, Hawnville High School. This outreach program is to help educate our younger residents on how to be responsible pet owners and to even pursue a career in animal control or veterinary medicine. We've also received a $25,000 grant from the ASPCA for disaster response and capacity building, plus $10,000 from Petco for community spay and neuter. And that's a great program that allows us to make sure we're spaying and neutering pets that come through the animal shelter. Recent procurement training. Our procurement office recently sent 2 staff members to a state conference to learn from professionals about the National Institute for Public Procurement. Alice and Samantha learned as presenters, provided updates to Louisiana public bid law, and expanded our professional network, as well as gaining new perspective by speaking with subject matter experts in other Louisiana parishes and municipalities. As you all know, we are trying to move our procurement office to be more of a true centralized procurement office, and that is well underway. We should be seeing a huge step towards that in January. And I want to thank Brenda Campos, who I think was here earlier. There she is, Brenda. Thank you, Brenda, for all your work to drive us in that direction. All right. The West Bank Bridge Park redesign and refurbishment was recognized by the Louisiana Recreation and Parks Association as the prestigious Outstanding Park and Facility Design Award for Class 2 at its annual conference this past November. This award recognizes the first improvements that have been made since the park was built in 1985, and it highlights the park's exceptional design, bringing the first turf fields to the parish. We're very excited about how this project turned out. And as you know, we have this same project going on at the East Bank Bridge Park. If you've passed by the East Bank Bridge Park, it's a total mess, but it's usually that way until it's not a mess and it comes together. As you know, we have an ordinance on the council agenda tonight to do the lighting portion of that project, just like we did on the West Bank with the lighting portion there. So we're excited to see this. You also saw some land clearing activity that we've been doing at the East Bank Bridge Park. We will be accepting dirt, additional dirt that would normally have been hauled off or disposed of on this property, and the council has approved an appropriation of money to build an East Bank gymnasium at the East Bank Bridge Park that will be able to house multiple basketball courts and other types of courts for our residents. As you know, it's incredibly hard for us during basketball season and other, volleyball season to be able to have enough gym space for the nearly 1,000 athletes that we have playing basketball this year. And so, as we are very grateful for the school's willingness to allow us to use it, we also know that the schools have their own programs that they have to use those gyms for. So we're going to kind of strike a balance here between having some facilities of our own and also continuing to use the school's facilities, but having this flex space will definitely alleviate a lot of pressure and get our basketball teams practicing inside, and we'll never have to be scrounging or flexing for games. So we're excited about this and the preparation that we're doing at East Bank Bridge Park, but we want to say congratulations to the Recreation Department for winning this award. In addition to that, we had some new signage installed outside of the West Bank Bridge Park, a digital sign which is at the exit of the I-310 ramp to advertise parish events, other community events that will be happening. And this takes away from having to do one-time signs, hanging signs on our new fence. It also allows us during times of emergency to display emergency messages as well. So we're excited about this. One last piece of the project, they're going to be installing 2 capstones on either side of those brick columns there. So not quite finished yet, but Darren assures me and Dwayne assures me that those capstones are on the way. All right. Last but not least, you heard Dwayne Foray talk about the Primetime Seniors Program. Our RSVP program has been great for the parish, and Miss Jeannie has done such a wonderful job with it, and Miss Faye Care and all the other ones before that who have helped to make this event, this program possible. But we really felt boxed in by the federal government and the constraints they had on this program. If you don't know, the RSVP program is through a federal agency called AmeriCorps. And AmeriCorps, we would apply for a grant every 3 years or so and have to follow kind of the constraints of AmeriCorps. We think the volunteer portion of it's great, but we want to be able to kind of spread our wings, focus on SCP seniors only instead of working with the St. John and St. James seniors as well, and be able to really stretch the programming that we're doing. So we're keeping the volunteerism portion of the program. We know that those folks are going to be kind of our foundation that we can build upon. We're going to be having our senior bowling. We want to do things like the recreational beanbag baseball, chair volleyball, walking clubs, educational events, technology events, as well as programs geared towards outdoor community gardens. And this kickoff event that we're holding in January from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center is really just to hear from our seniors, because we are going to build this program around the things that they want to do, and we think it's going to be a big success. Seniors make up 55 and older, probably our largest demographic in the parish. Our parish's median age is about 38 and a half years old. So we know we have about 12 to 13,000 people who fall in this 55-year-old or older category. Yet the number of people who participate in RSVP and some of these other programs that we have is very limited. So we think we have the ability to reach so many people within the parish, and by building a diverse offering of programs, we know that there will be something for everybody. You know, we are saying that since we've included Super Tots now, which allows our youngest residents to start recreation at 3 years old, we will be able to keep someone in the recreation program from 3 years old to 103 years old, hopefully. Cradle to grave for recreation. That's what we're doing. And so we're really just excited about that. If residents want to sign up for this event, we ask them to go to scpprimetimekickoff.com. I'm sorry, kickoff.eventbrite.com. It's right there on the bottom of the screen. We've shared this as well in the water bill inserts. And again, we are just very excited to see this and build upon it each year, and we are appreciative of the council for supporting that. All right, as a part of wrapping that into prime time, we'll go to the next slide here. Our senior Christmas social we held last week was a huge success. We had seniors all across the parish who spent the morning with us. They enjoyed lunch, dancing. They took pictures with Santa. This event always is very popular, and we appreciate all of our sponsors who really make this possible, and all of our SCP staff and parish council members who come and help and volunteer to pass out food. A great event every year to really kick off and spread the Christmas cheer throughout the parish. All right. SCP Toy and Gift Fund. Our toy and gift fund was held this past Saturday. Again, a huge success. The line was literally out of the door at the community center all the way to Edward A. Dufresne Parkway at one point in time. We had nearly 1,400 children ages 0 to 14 who came in, who they gave letters to Santa, took pictures with Santa. They were able to pick out toys, books. They entered into a raffle for bicycles. Valero served over 250 pounds of jambalaya. So just a fantastic way for us to get into the holiday spirit, and is only possible because of all of the sponsors like Valero and the United Way and Toys for Tots and many others who make this possible for us. So we really do live in really the best parish that we are able to do this. When we post this on Facebook, other parish presidents text me and call me like, how did you do that? We're very jealous of that. And, I tell them that every time that they shun industry in their parish, I just tell them to call me, because we will hopefully try to help them in a way that allows for us to keep giving back to our community in as many ways as possible. Really want to say thanks to Ms. Jeannie Araby and her volunteers. They do so much to check people in and keep these lines moving. The council members, again, who were there, who helped the same way, checking people in and keeping these lines moving, passing out jambalaya, Valero, and we will be ready to do it again next year. So thanks for all y'all do, and it's always great to just see the kids' smiling faces as they go through and pick a toy. All right, this will be my last parish president's report, just for 2024. Y'all will be stuck with me for 3 more years. And so just want to say Merry Christmas to all the council members, to all of the staff, to the residents, as well as a Happy New Year. And just a reminder that Christmas Day and New Year's are trash collection days. So be on the lookout for information about trash collection. Every year we get questions about will trash be picked up on those days. And so we will be putting out information to let you know when trash collection will be, will not be, and when it will resume. And that concludes my report.
President Jewell, I want to thank you for your support of the Toy and Gift Fund. Couldn't do it without Ms. Jeannie and her group, Mr. Foray and his department, and the guys from Public Works and Recreation. It's a big, massive event, and it seems to get bigger and bigger every year. So, again, it's a pleasure to be able to do it. My fellow council members who come and help can see the smiles on their faces. We'll continue to do it, God willing, and we'll keep that event good for our young people. So. All righty, let's move right along. Ordinances, resolutions introduced for publication, public hearing, Monday, January 6, 2025, 6 p.m., Council Chambers, Courthouse, Hanville. 2024-0419, 2024-0420, 2024-0421, 2024-0422, 2024-0423, 2024-0424. Copies have been made and placed in your folders of 2024-0425. All right, planning and zoning petitions. 2024-0405, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish zoning ordinance of 1981 to change the zoning classification from R3 to C3 and R1A to OL across approximately 44.5 acres designated as Lot 1, Lakewood West Subdivision, Luling as requested by Robert V. Gilbert, Jr. for Nancy Reese Bush, etc. Mr. Michael Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This rezoning request seeks to change a parcel from R3/R1A to C3/open land along the existing zoning line as presented in the report. The department, as well as the Planning Commission, recommend denial. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. There's anyone who would like, file number 2024-0405 is now for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, I'm Robert Gilbert, Jr. I live at 11 Azalea Court over in Luling. I'm going to add my thank you to Miss Jeannie as well, because I was one of her all-star coaches for years, and she does do a great job. So, as Michael said, I am asking to rezone a piece of property that's been over there on Lakewood Drive for, ever. And it's currently zoned for apartments in the front and a subdivision in the back. What I am looking to do is move my business over to the front area that's closer up to Highway 90. We have been at River Road, right here by the bridge, for years and years and years. We're just, quite honestly, we're just outgrowing it. We've run out of parking area over there, and we need a place to move it to. It is a great place for our business. I live in the back of that subdivision. I own the apartments in the front. And so it's right there in a really good area for our company. There's a lot of land that's dry. I have done a wetlands delineation study on it to determine that. And that land we'll be able to use that. We plan to use the dry land that's there and leave the wetlands as woods that's in the area. In the back, where I'm wanting to rezone it to open land, my plans there are to give that spot to my two boys and let them build a house there each in that area. I put a lot of work into this for quite some time. Our company is one that has, we've been here over 31 years. All those events that, Mr. Jewell just spoke about, we sponsor every one of them. We sponsor all the Toys for Tots. We sponsor the senior citizen events. We sponsor the United Way events. We are a long-term St. Charles Parish business, and we want to keep it that way. I love this parish. It's where my family's from. It's where we all are. It's important that we stay in this area, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to move our business over there. Ms. Parker said earlier that y'all have about 677 employees. I got about 450, 500 employees that work for Pedal House. Most of them travel, so they don't come to that office every day. That's why we would really be in trouble with parking. They work all over the country for us, but a lot of them, most of them, are St. Charles Parish residents that travel around, but their home is here in St. Charles Parish. I got about 30 managers that go to that office each day, and they they come in and they're the ones that are looking for the parking. It's mostly engineers, IT people, et cetera, that come over to it.
Could you pause for a minute? You're running out of time. Do you need any additional time?
Yes, please.
Okay. Do I have a motion to grant Mr. Gilbert any more time? I have a motion by Mr. Carmadell, a second by Ms. O'Daniels. Please cast your votes to add an additional 3 minutes. All
Okay,
right,
thank
the motion
you. I'll
passes
speed it right up.
unanimously. Mr. Gilbert, you have 3 more minutes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So I guess, right now, we've done a lot to advertise this to the community, to try to find out, is the community in favor of this, the community against it? One of the things I've heard many, many times in my talkings with all of you is that we govern for the people, by the people. So I put out flyers to the people that live out there. I put up signs in the front of these subdivisions. I have done everything I possibly could to advertise to the local area to make sure that most people were on board with this. And I think there's a couple of people that maybe aren't. But for the most part, when people understand that it could either be an apartment complex and a subdivision, or one office building and 2 homes, they like the idea that there's not as much traffic going to be there for that. They like the idea that there won't be as many people going into the school systems. They like the idea that they're going to get to keep mostly woods right there in their area. And so as they understand that, they seem to be for it. This property is more aggressively for sale. I'm even hearing, I heard from the real estate person that one of the builders that's building in that Heather Oaks is making inquiries to this property. There were some things that came up in the planning and zoning meeting where they asked for an extension. I asked the people that I was purchasing from if I could have that extension. They denied it, said no, which tells me that they are talking to some other folks about that. Y'all, I'm a long-term member of this community, and you know, this thing is important to me. Like I said, I went as far as to spend money already determining the wetlands situation with this, and so I've submitted that over to the Corps of Engineers. You mentioned that earlier, Parish President, and that's a long process, but I'm going through it. I'm trying to do everything with this piece of property correctly. If you don't know me, I also own the subdivision in the back. The golf course in the back, and kind of revived that. So I'm here, I'm in this area, I'm not going anywhere, and this piece of property that we're looking at to try to move our business to is going to be taken well care of. If you have any questions for me, I have maps of the property, et cetera, if you want to see any of that. Maps of where I plan to put the buildings and the houses. Any questions for me on that?
I'm sure there'll be some at a
Okay.
little point in time, Mr. Gilbert.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty. Does anyone else like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Good afternoon. I'm Dan Africki. I live in Parish, Louisiana, and I'm for Robbie's zoning change. Been knowing Robbie a long time, and I have a construction background for a long time, and I think it's the best use of this land as far as watershed, density, and I don't get off the sofa for many people, but I did tonight. I appreciate y'all vote. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Ricky.
I'm Aaron Walker. I live at 145 Lakewood Drive, Luling. This land is in my backyard. I bought this property because it was dedicated wetlands, and I'm a nature lover. I was part of the Ecological Conservancy in Calcasieu Parish, and when I walk home and I walk in my living room, I look out the back door, it's woods. There's a 3-foot levee, and it just brings me a lot of peace to know that this is wetlands back there. And I've listened to Mr. Gilbert say a couple of things that makes me not trust him. He says, last meeting we were here, he says he barely knows how to write an email. He said that one portion of this land will be given to his sons if they so want it. He talked about the front part being commercial, but he doesn't know how many stories that building will be. Is it going to be 1? Is it going to be 2 stories? He doesn't know. He hasn't put the thought into it. He just wants that land like it's a monopoly board or something. And for me, this is the house, my first house I ever bought, and I plan on living here until I die in that house. And when I look out in my backyard, I don't want somebody that owns or has 400 people and doesn't know how to write an email taking care of this land. So I just want to say again that I'm opposed to this, and I'm the little guy. This guy's his buddy, but that's really all I have to say. I fought for this country. This is the first house I bought, and I want to live there till I die. And thank you, please, Mr. President, if you could, keep this wetlands, and if it's not wetlands anymore, none of my neighbors that I talked to knew this ever changed from wetlands either. And that's the sole reason I bought this property. And if we're talking about rezoning, could we rezone it back to wetlands? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. I will ask everybody to be respectful. Everybody will have their say if they want to speak. But I will not accept people yelling out. I will clear this council chambers. That's what that gentleman standing in the corner is. But we're all adults. We can be respectful, and everyone will be heard. If there's anyone else who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You're going to have 3 minutes.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Could the gentleman please state your full address for the record, please?
It's 145 Lakewood Drive.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Daniels.
Gary Boudreau, 372 Barton Avenue. I worked for Mr. Gilbert for the last 17 years. I believe everything he says, what he's going to do with the property, and I'm the maintenance man at his apartment complex. I've talked with a lot of the tenants at the apartments. They all in favor because they like to see things being done around there. I'm going to give you a couple things. Coming around that corner, I see it every day. I got high school and junior high school kids catching the bus right there. People coming around there a little bit too fast. Got tenants that's backing out of the driveway, out of that, where they live at, and almost getting hit because you can't see around there with the trees and the bloodweeds. So I think he can clean up that little area up right there real good, and I'm in support of him. Thank y'all.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
My name's Eric Butler. I live at 129 Dewey Drive in Hunville, and I'm in support of the rezoning. I've known Robbie for over 25 years, and he's a very trustworthy individual. And I trust when he says what he's going to do to the property, that's what he's going to do to it.
Thank you, Mr. Butler.
Ed Pelhang, 147 Lakewood Drive. Let me just read what I sent Holly Fonseca. I sent her an email. So anyway, let me just read it so I don't stand up here for 3 or 4 minutes. May 8, 1995, Lakewood subdivision flooded. I was part of that. Winn-Dixie, 1999. Impacts from the parish officials, Corps engineers, Department of Natural Resources, Wildlife Fisheries stated that the hard surface runoff, commercial runoff, would not affect drainage due to pump upgrades in the land beyond Winn-Dixie commercial footprints as long as there remain wetlands. The impact statement from LP&L then, which is now Energy, said that also the power grid would not be impacted. Fast forward 2024, September 11, I saw water rising halfway up my doorsteps, and the power was down for 24 hours, almost 24 hours. Yeah, while a property owner seeks relief to his parking issue, the commercial rezone, you know, the residents of this area can only seek relief from their own pocketbooks when the disaster strikes and the system become under stress. So therefore, I stand in opposition to this rezone until there are impact statements, Parish, Corps engineers, Energy, that any future, any commercial footprint, present or future, if you have future in this area, will not additionally burden the drainage system, electrical power grid, and the traffic for the Lakewood West residents. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my My name is Monique Alama. I reside at 121 Lakewood Drive. I work for Mr. Gilbert at Petal Valves, as well as I manage Park Lakewood Apartments. Basically, I think he would take care of the irrigation problem, and I think he spoke about leaving enough wetland for the people that do live on Lakewood Drive, that currently live there. I was one of the ones that put together those flyers he spoke about, and we did put them on everyone's door to notify him what his intentions are. I do believe another school system or apartment complex will bring more transportation back there, more needs for school buses. I used to reside in the back of Lakewood, and I know about the flooding. I think he would take care of that problem. I also believe that it's him and his wife Kristen's dream to do so. So I hope y'all do support his decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council. I'm Steve Romano. I live at 219 Browning Drive in Luling. I live in the subdivision directly south of the site. Rezoning to open land in C3 is actually a down zone to a less intensive use, which is what I'm in favor of, because I don't like to think about what will happen if rezoning is not approved. I don't want to see another subdivision like what's south of us. I don't like seeing wetlands or woods get bulldozed, put in houses. I mean, controlled development is cool, but this is overkill. You have an applicant here that has stated he's going to put in a commercial, and he's going to put in, a few houses. That's a heck of a lot more palatable than what could happen and what will probably happen if rezoning is not approved. It's the best chance for existing conditions to remain or change minimally. I'd rather see a small business and small family compound there than what current zoning will allow, which is single-family residential. You'll probably be able to put in a couple of homes in there. I don't want to see 23 acres of wetlands mitigated, bulldozed, cleared, so that we can put in streets and houses and yards. I'm not against people living in houses, but I don't want to see that pristine type of land being torn up for that reason. Clear cutting of 40 acres of undeveloped wetlands and wetlands on which apartment complexes and a large subdivision could be built is how it's currently zoned and what could probably happen. It ensures the preservation of 23 acres of wetlands. I said that before, I'm sorry. It is the property owner, it does give the property owner some rights to use the land. And for those reasons, I am in favor of the rezoning, and please consider doing so. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Anyone else wishing to speak? Please remember to state your name and your address.
Good evening, Council and Parish President Jewell. My name is Rob Parker. My address is 205 Barrett Drive, Luling. My property backs up to the property that Robbie is trying to rezone and ultimately buy. Our family's been there for 20 years. We actually bought the home site with the purpose or with the idea that we'd have woods behind us, and we've really enjoyed that. Robbie came to us about a month ago. He's been fully transparent through the whole process, told us exactly what he wanted to do. On the south side of the property, put 2 home sites for his boys, and on the north side, develop it for commercial. We understand what the open land permit means, and I'm fully supportive of it. My fear is if this doesn't get passed, and we've had a few people talk about it, if a development happens, there won't be any more trees. I mean, you just look across Heather at Heather Oaks. I mean, there are no more trees. So if you want trees, this is the best case scenario. I've talked to Robbie. I've known the Gilbert family for over 30 years. Everything they've done in this community, whether it be Grand Ridge Golf Club or the Lakewood Apartments, they've done it for the betterment of the community, period. There's no doubt about that. And I have no reason to believe this won't be a great project. I'm fully in support, and I hope you guys support it as well.
Thank you, Mr. Parker.
How you doing? David Pizzolato, 124 Lake Carolyn Drive. I hope y'all support this because this is a family-owned business and they want to stay here in the parish. And I think this is a better option than developing the whole piece of property. Having two places and a part of business that wants to keep here. They want to keep this business here, so I think y'all should support it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Angie Butler. I live at 129 Dewey Drive in Hahnville. I am in support of the rezoning. I've known Robbie Gilbert and his family for the past 18 years. My husband does work for the company. And I will tell you that even, you know I'm in the school district. Robbie has always given back to St. Charles Parish in whatever capacity he could. Even when I coached at Destrehan, he donated money to the girls when they won the state championship. So I know that he has good intentions for the rezoning project that he has put before this city council, and I just would hope that you would vote for it, as he is to preserve the wetlands as well as keep his local business here in St. Charles Parish and create a community that serves back to others.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Robert Woodworth. I live at 121 Lakewood Drive, in the apartments. I'm a four-time Afghan veteran, Purple Heart recipient, Bronze Star with Valor. I too was a Ranger, and I take massive offense when someone calls Robbie Gilbert a liar. That guy is true blue, rock solid, and I'm sorry if I made a stick over that, but that's not right. That guy is an honest man and one of the best people I've ever met. So I think y'all should approve this. He is Luling.
Hello, my name is Adam K. Butler. I live at 1250 Primrose Drive in Booty. My dad is under Mr. Gilbert at Pedal Valves, and he's always been so generous to my dad as well as the rest of my family. I do truly think that he does have good intentions at heart for the rezoning, so therefore I am in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Melissa Freeloo, 225 Lake Catherine Drive, Luling. I'm in support of this. I'm in real estate in this parish, and I'm listening to the concerns of the residents, and I'm just thinking to myself, if you know what can come so fast of this property, I mean, we can see it right there at Heather Oaks, how fast they can just cut down all the trees, big old development comes. I've been in contact with the listing broker of this property, who has informed me directly that D.R. Horton, Richie Tan, has reached out. They are very interested in this property. There has been some issues with some extensions on the real estate deal that Mr. Gilbert's doing, which makes me think that a subdivision could come faster than what these residents really understand. The Gilberts are very honest people, as many people are saying. Everything that they have done for this community and the ways that they give back lets us know that we really don't want to not have them in this parish. Also, where they are going to put the building, there are several other businesses right there. We've got finance, barbershops, hair shops. I think that it does go along with the commercial building that they're going to put there. The Gilberts are also outdoorsmen, so when they say they're going to keep the trees, 100% I believe that. Think that they have proven that through Grand Ridge. I'm also just very concerned about this not going through, because I think and know through real estate how fast another contract comes in and how fast things can get approved. And with the current zoning where it is, I don't know that anyone could really stop it if this doesn't go through. And I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deborah Suffren, 108 Cypress Lane, Destrehan, Louisiana. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I have taught in public school for 37 years and 21 at Destrehan High School. I am a retired teacher, and I am presently the president of the St. Charles Public Schools Foundation. I live in this community for 33 years, and I've known Robbie and his family for longer. As everyone has said, upstanding young man, I call him young man, in this community. I have loved the work that Pedal Valves has done in this community, and as our parish president said, that this is a special place. I would like you to support this issue because he has supported our community in every way possible. We live in a wonderful community that supports small businesses, and we have a small business that is growing, and we need to give them the opportunity to grow. So I would wish you would support this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to come up and speak?
Mike Naboo, 1104 Primrose, Boutique, 70039. I do support Robbie in this, even though I think a subdivision would better my business, but I can take only what Robbie did at Grand Ridge and how Grand Ridge looked prior to them taking the time and spending the money and putting the effort to clean it up, and I'm sure they'll do the same there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Good evening. Donnie Matthews, 618 Willow Ridge Drive in Luling. The Gilberts are pillars of our community and have served as stewards in preserving the land in and around our neighborhoods, including saving Grand Ridge Golf Course from real estate development. The purchase of this land is another example of Gilbert's stewardship. I support the Gilbert family in the rezoning of this property. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else like to come up and speak?
Brennan Freelou, 225 Lake Catherine Drive in Luling. I live at the farthest back as you could go in Lakewood. The current zoning is zone R3 and R1A. If somebody would come in tomorrow with these current zonings, they could do it if they follow all the road, all of that stuff. This could be developed tomorrow. If he does what he wants to do, I support this, because to put a small business and two houses back there, and he'll leave this all like this, Lakewood Drive, like when they just finished that road right there. The traffic would be bad, the schools couldn't handle it, the recreation departments, we got trouble right now filling coaching spots. So if you add 400 homes, apartments and stuff like this, it wouldn't handle it. The way he wants to do it, I would support this. And hope y'all would support it too.
Thank you, Brad.
Hello. Darius Terrebonne, 17 Oakley Drive, Pedestrian. I'm also in favor for this. Being a small business owner myself, is very important to me to see small businesses thrive in this community. Also we work, my son plays for the Cubs, and Mr. Gilbert has done so much for my son and the community to give us a place to practice. Just a really stand-up guy and family, so definitely support it. Thank you.
Hi, Patsy Mattia, 201 Barrett Drive. My house butts up against the backside. I think I have more questions and concerns. I don't understand the purpose of having to rezone it to open land, given the current zone, at least the 33 acres in the back. If Robbie wants to build 2 houses on it, does it have to be rezoned to open land in order for him to do that? That would be my first question, because I really don't know. My second comment is, I don't believe that Mr. Gilbert's plan is with any kind of ill intent, but it is also dependent on future generations sharing the same vision and scope that he has. I'm just trying to protect my investment as a homeowner, with the property behind us, always understanding that at some point that it could potentially be a subdivision. I personally don't really want a subdivision, but would rather know what's going to come behind there than not. So that's my only other thing. That, and I guess I'm confused by the process because of planning and zoning. They voted against it. So I'm just trying to understand how this works, that it still goes beyond to the parish council. Like, what is the protocol? Like, how does this work? That's it.
Well, that's my lovely wife, and since she had the courage to come up and speak, I had to garner up the courage to do the same.
Please come to the podium. Thank you.
My name is Gerald Mattia. I live at 201 Barrett Drive. It's, I'm against the zoning change. I'm grateful that my neighborhood that I live in, which backs up to the property that's for sale, it was cleared for a place for my family to build our home. And for all the tree huggers, my house is the only one on my street that has trees in it, in my front yard. So if people worry about trees, but they don't plant trees. In fact, there's a lot of clear cutting going on back there that when the property wants to buy. But I think another subdivision with new families, a place to raise their kids would be great. And maybe what Mr. Gilbert wants to do with it would be okay as well. It's unclear why OL is in question there. I mean, why it has to be OL. But if he wins, I'm just against the rezoning, but not against him owning the land or the person that wants to sell it. Again, my neighborhood was woods for the folks that live on Lakewood now. So they gave up, some, whatever you want to consider it to be, wetlands or wooded areas behind their homes. So the fact that they gave that up so that we could build our house, I wouldn't mind so much if we had new neighbors and new friends to live right behind us. But that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to pause for a minute. I think there is some misconceptions. So we'll resume the public hearing, but I am going to let Mr. Albert kind of go through some of the questions that Ms. Pat asked. I think it'll be beneficial to the discussion.
Yeah, so there's a multi-point answer to the question about why the change from R1A to open land. First off, R1A is one lot, or one unit, housing unit per lot. So he's intending to put two houses on it. Open land would allow that as a family subdivision. There's an access requirement. Open land allows for access servitude. Otherwise, for R1A, he would be required to construct a street into the property like a cul-de-sac, and the houses would branch off from there. The third reason was, part of the application was discussion about keeping horses on the property, which was permissible through open land, but requires an elevated review process through R1A. So it's really comes down to the number of units on the piece of ground, the way it's accessed, what has to be constructed, and the accessory uses that are intended to go along with the property. That's why open land was requested for this change.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Albert. I appreciate that. We can resume the public hearing. If anyone else would like to come up and speak?
Hello, good evening. My name is Ross Dufresne. I live at 129A Asphodel, which is across the West Heather Street from the property that's in question. I know right now I have a child that is at J.B. Martin. I have a child that is at Lakewood, and I have a child that is at Mimosa. All right. I span 3 of the school zones around here, and I know one thing: the schools are overloaded. Okay, so anything that I can support that will help minimize that until down the road, I fully support. And so I would gladly trade a commercial building with 2 homes as opposed to subdivision and apartment complexes. Now, I also know the Gilbert family. I've gotten to know them over the years. I'm a lifelong resident of Luling, Louisiana. I'm a Navy veteran, and I know that Luling is not what it used to be when I grew up. Okay? All the places that the kids used to go out and play, all that's gone. All of it. And West Heather Oaks, or whatever that subdivision is, it's just the latest development that is going to only further impact my child's learning in the school system right now. So I also know that with Grand Ridge, the Gilberts have done everything they could, or what they have been able to do, to help keep that land from falling into the hands of developers and causing more overpopulation in our community. So I fully support the intentions that the Gilberts are planning to do here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon. Will Teague, 113 South Lake, Luling. Been a part of the community for a few years. My wife and I moved from Kenner just a little bit before Ida. I think one of the things I enjoy most about being in the community is that there's just this fabric, right? And from what I've learned in a short period of time about Robbie is that he is part of the fabric of this community. And I think what's important for me is if someone's asking that's just, spent a lot of his time in his career and he's raised his family and he's done a lot of things for a lot of people in this room and their kids, especially with the Cubs that were mentioned. And there's other baseball teams that he's been a part of through the years that he's opened his door to many kids and many families. I think it's just important that when someone locally wants to do something and is asking for help and is asking for support for something in the community, that we show up, and that's what I'm here to do, to show up to support him in his effort, only because I think most people don't realize if another developer comes in or another company from outside this area, they're going to be able to come in and do what they want. And I just don't think that that's what most people would really want to see in that area. So I'm here to support Robbie. Again, I appreciate y'all's time. Y'all have a good evening. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, Casey Gilbert, 11 Isaiah Court. I'm one of the sons of Mr. Robbie, and I wanted to just bring up the resident on Lakewood Drive that was talking about how he wanted to keep the wetlands there for him to look at, and I just wanted to tell him I think we're on the same team. Our family is all for all of that, and we're going to keep it that way. And we're telling the truth about that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jordan Matthews of 303 Lakewood Drive. I've watched many forests go away over the course of my life. I've been here 25 years. I've watched 2 subdivisions be built. One of them barely has houses on it. Do we really need another one of those? That's what I'm thinking. And I 100% trust Robbie Gilbert to conserve the wetlands and not exploit them, which is something we can't trust other developers to do. I know him personally, so I guess I can make that judgment call. But I just want to say on behalf of him that I trust him and I trust his intentions. So.
Thank you.
Well, obviously, Sidney Stabile, 159 Cottage Drive. Obviously, we all have a difference in opinion on what could be done there. The last time I was here, I was trying to support Mr. Gilbert with some modifications to what he wanted to do, possibly changing the front rezone into C2 since he only needed office space, so it started off to be, and shrink the line of the rezoning. And he didn't want to make that an option. And I'm just concerned that I owned 50 rental properties but then down the street walking distance from this property. And I appreciate all these people that come out here and say, you know, they live in Destrehan and they live here and live there. They have nothing to lose on property values if this becomes a fact. I pay a lot of property tax in this parish, and I tried when this meeting was over last time in the parking lot to come to some conclusion that we could agree on something. His conclusion to me was, if I don't get what I want, I will buy the property and put a subdivision there to piss everybody off in the whole street and blame me for it. I don't think that's the way to do business, threatening people. So I would say that if he wants 2 houses on a piece of property, put the streets in, put the 2 houses in, and keep it R1A. If he needs to do a pedal valves building, get it zone C2, where he can't put other businesses in there, and C3, when he retires and somebody sells the property. It is not, Lakewood Drive is not designed to have a C3 commercial development coming from either end. Too much traffic. He wants to come in on Lakewood Drive, right across from my apartment complex. You never know what is going to take place years from now. I've had people tell me they never sell in their house. Hey, money talks. The property comes up for sale. Somebody offers him $10 million for it. He's going to sell it. It's going to be a veterinarian clinic. It's going to be a whatever type of C2, C3 warehousing in that whole area. He's not going to leave it empty. I don't believe that. I'm not saying anybody's lying. I just think things change, time changes things, money changes people. And that's, I would like to see this. I tried to get him to table it. Let's get some kind of mutual agreement on it. But if somebody doesn't want to have mutual agreement and try, the only thing that I could say is deny it any way possible.
Thank you.
I've been in this parish my whole life, been in business since the 70s. I've built a lot of houses. I have a lot of rental property, and I don't want to lose my property value due to a commercial.
You're out of time.
Commercial
Appreciate
development.
it.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to come up and speak regarding this item?
My name's Ryan Fontenot. I live at 107 Lake Carolyn Drive, and I also own a small business on Lakewood Drive, Ryan's Barbershop. And I just wanted to say I'm in full support of what Robbie wants to do. We've seen him revive the golf course. He did a great job with that. I know he'll make this nice as well. And it would also keep the traffic down, what he wants to do. So I fully support it.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Austin Butler. I live at 129 Dewey Drive. Me and my dad works for Pedal Valves, and me and my family have known Mr. Gilbert for years on end. And anything that's related to him that I know about is very true to his word, very generous, and very caring. So I am actually in support of the rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Amber Guidry, 121 Lakewood Drive. I live in the apartments. I am for the rezoning. I believe in the integrity. I am the sister-in-law of Robert Gilbert. I believe in the integrity of Robert Gilbert. I believe in the integrity of my nephews as well, who have intentions of building homes and preserving those wetlands and making sure that, what they say today is what they're going to follow through with. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Edie Nucio. I live at 2 Azalea Court in Luling. I am a teacher at J.B. Martin. I talk President Jewell over there in sixth grade, and I am still teaching sixth grade, so I've been around a little bit. I am in support of this rezoning. I'm sure most of you know this is my brother that's trying to do this, and I've seen his generosity through the years with the community, and am so proud of everything that he has done. And I hope you guys can see that and will vote in favor. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Jason Bryan, I live at 161 Annex Street, New Sarpy. I fully support what Robbie wants to do here with this rezoning. I do believe that he will do the best thing he can with keeping it as pristine and yet putting his business there, and also keeping it from being a large home development there, which could impact the traffic and the school system, as everyone here has also noted and stated. So I do support him. I've known him for several years now, and I believe everything that he has done has been, he's definitely kept his word on everything he's done for me and my family, so.
Thank you.
Andrew Suffren, 104 Cypress Lane, Destrehan. Guys, today is an exciting day. I'm not just talking about the new gym coming to the East Bank, but I want to talk about the business that's been here for 30 years. The same one that not only has been here for 30 years, but wants to move and build a new location to stay for 30 years. That business, as Mr. Gilbert has said, employs about 450 people across the country. Majority of those have been hired from here and then moved across the country to work on different projects. This would be special not only to Pedal Valves, but also to the community to keep this business here for years to come. I would ask for your support on this.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come up and speak?
Hi, my name is April Wilkie. I live at 9 Azalea Court in Luling. I've known the Gilbert family for many years, and I just want you to support this rezoning. Thank you.
Hello, Rebecca Matthews, 618 Willow Ridge Drive. My husband also works for Mr. Gilbert, and I think it would be great for the community to have his business stay here. And I also would prefer to have a business and 2 homes instead of a large development there. So I ask that you support him in this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Ryan Cannon, 165 Good Hope, Norco. I'd like to support this. Mr. Robbie, very integrity guy. As President Jewell was talking earlier, been doing a lot of work on the pump stations in the parish. Real thankful for that. If another subdivision is built, we're just going to have to do more work, do a lot more flooding. I think it would be better to have good business, 2 houses, rather that. Thank you.
All right, does anyone else like to come up and speak?
My name is Colin Gilder. I live at 6 Wanning Drive, Luling. My dad has worked for Mr. Robbie for over 20 years, and I've grown up with Mr. Robbie's family, and I really appreciate for everything that he has done for the community. He's built it up from the ground. Him and his dad, they've built the golf course. They've given back to the community all these years, and I'm just really appreciative of everything that he's done with or without the ask of our help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, my name is Kayla Suffren. I live at 104 Cypress Lane, Destrehan, Louisiana, and I am in support of the agenda item for Robbie. I don't know why anyone would want to oppose it. I mean, he wants to see growth in the community, and I feel like as a resident of St. Charles Parish, that should be what everybody wants. So I am in support.
Thank you, Kelly. Anyone else come up and speak? One last time. Anyone else want to come up and speak?
My name is Jacob Wilkie. I live at 9 Azalea Court, and I just wanted to let y'all know that I am in full support of what Mr. Rob Gilbert wants to do, and I hope y'all do too.
Thank you. All right, if there's anyone else like to come up and speak, let's go.
I'm Jason Wilkie, 9 Azalea Court in Luling. I've known Robbie all my life. Went to middle school and high school with him, went to college with him, roommates. I live next door to the guy. When he says he's going to do what he's going to do with this property, you can take it to the bank. I ask for your support, and thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to say it one last time. Does anyone else like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Okay. Seeing none, the public hearing is, I apologize. This will be your second time speaking. So.
I'm Aaron Walker, 145 Lakewood Drive. I didn't realize what a good guy this guy was. I was just worried about my backyard, and I'd like to retract my first statement if I can. I don't know. He seems like a good guy. So.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. All right. This is the last time. Does anyone else like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, our public hearing is closed. All right, council discussion. Mr. Commodore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Albert, gentleman came up opposing, mentioned he could have did this with C2. It's my understanding that with current zoning restrictions and with the operations of pedal valve, that C2 was not something he can even try for.
Correct. Under what we were told in the application, the discussions with them, the uses under C3, starting off with retail manufacturing, and then later on, items of similar intensity, fabrication of gaskets, are all things that are listed, like minor warehousing, all of that fits squarely under C3. So without him drastically changing what's happening in the existing pedal valves, C3 is appropriate.
Okay. So I've read through all of this, and the really only opposition I read here was one person who personally slandered Mr. Gilbert, and evidently there's some personal differences, and the rest were people want trees. It sounds like he's leaving trees. I have personal friends who were born and raised in St. Charles Parish that were forced to move their businesses outside of the parish. As you know, we're going on a year on this council, and I've supported economic growth in this parish since day one. There's a lot of people whose kids my kids go to school with, play sports with, and has been around, whose parents work for Pedal Valve. If we can keep those people here, that's the intention that I'm looking to do as a councilman. Grow this parish, keep our people here, and give our people good, stable paying jobs. And that seems to be what Pedal Valve has done for 400-some people. So I'm asking for your support.
Is there any council discussion? Ms. Keeble.
Sorry, I just have a question. When the discussion had come up about the difference between R1A and open land, Mr. Albert had stated that the applicant wished to keep horses on the land. Can anyone speak to that?
Robbie Gilbert, 11 Azalea Court. We don't know whether there'll be horses out there or not horses out there. you know, my son is marrying a girl that's at LSU right now and studying veterinary medicine. She loves horses. We got, my mom has horses in Springfield, so maybe that's going to fulfill that. But, you know, the big reason for the open land is so that we don't have to build roads and whatnot through there. I plan to leave a buffer all the way around it. So that's that.
Any other discussion? Ms. Gilbert, I have a couple questions for you. I'm sorry, I'll let Ms. O'Daniels go first.
Mr. Gilbert, I appreciate your efforts in the community, and I really get a full appreciation for who you are and what you stand for. Unfortunately, I'm a lawyer, so I look at things from less of an emotional perspective and more from the perspective of what can happen and all the wrong things. I'm the Debbie Downer of the group. So looking at the denials of our professionals and as well as the denial by the Planning and Zoning Commission, the concern that I had was the same concern about the footprint of the C3. And I understand your business and understand how you got, you know, kind of pegged into that C3 because it's kind of a hybrid situation between engineering, IT versus the gaskets and the construction. So it really pains me that there's not more time to reduce that footprint and give you what you need and you know, just assure the community that this is not going to turn into more of a business park. And I come from the East Bank, and the East Bank has been clear-cut practically to the ground. We're getting ready to lose 220 pristine wetland acres, and no one seemed to care about those. So it's a great testimonial to your, you know, dedication to the community. However, I have some questions and concerns about the actual footprint itself. It seems to be rather large for what you're asking for because most of your workers aren't really, you know, working out of that office. So that's kind of what's tugging at me right
The
now.
main reason for the C3 was the small warehouse that we have in the back.
Understand.
You know, we have a warehouse where most of our business is construction, you know, all over the country, literally from California to Florida. And when we finish a job, we bring back the excess materials to our warehouse. And then when we go to the next job, you know, if we are using those same types of materials, they go with us. So we don't really ship out a lot of stuff out of the warehouse. There's not a lot of stuff coming in and out. It's mostly just when we finish projects, they come in. And that was the reason for the C3.
Right,
I was
understand.
perfectly fine with C2 as well, or C1 or whatever it may be. My issue is a time constraint. I have a purchase agreement, I've asked for an extension, I was denied it.
Right, I understand.
So, you know, if Michael were to come to me later and say, you know, we can give you C2, I'll be glad to come back up here and rezone that front part of the property as C2. You know, that's the only thing going there. I own those apartments that are right in front of it, right? 76 units right there. So I want that to stay nice. The only thing going there is my office building, you know.
And I appreciate your plans. The flip side of that coin is that I was also on the Citizens Committee for the future land use planning. And over and over and over again, the think tank and the professional planners were all indicating, as you know, because you own a large apartment complex for, sizable for our parish, that the need for housing is there. And there's a big demand for that, but there's very little of our community actually has this precious zoning for that, and that's the dual side of my concern as well. Thank you. To give other people opportunity to enjoy our special community.
Mm-hmm, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Daniels. Mr. Perrier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had a few questions as well. I mean, I was taking tallies of the people that came in your support, about 35 to, let's say, 5. And this is not a popularity game, that's for sure. When you give somebody a rezone of a piece of property, it goes with the property. So as far as the use of the property, I think you're genuinely stating what that would be. You know, when I went to the planning commission, I heard first that you're not going to have an engineering office in the front, and then later on, you said, no, I have to have a warehouse as well. But I've visited your business, so consequently, I know what you do. And you do some building of valves, which is manufacturing. So I can see how all this gels and comes together, and I guess I'm sympathetic to your need. As far as the growth aspect of that I've heard some people say, this doesn't give you a lot of growth. This doesn't give the parish a lot of growth. It doesn't give the parish much more tax base from which we derive income for the parish. I mean, I'm just telling you the things I see. And if you do an expansion, and I believe that your business will expand over time. If you do an expansion of your business and you have this C3 open land zoning, what's to keep you from doing something else with that property later on, should you decide that's just not a big enough place, I got to go somewhere else? And that's a concern that I have. So there are lots of concerns, and I'm always torn with how I approach these decisions based upon what people want. I got to tell you, I live over in Ormond, okay? This doesn't affect me, but it does affect the parish, and I'm interested. I watched, the subdivision that I live in is the old part of Ormond, and it was pasture land. But they took 826 acres of cypress and tupelo swamp and cut that down and built a subdivision, which we have since had nothing but problems draining. And that's a fact, okay? So I'm sympathetic to the need to try to hold on to wetlands, and there's a lot of reasons to do that. You know, if you decided later on, though, let's say open land, or your children, you have the property if you buy it, and they decide, well, I'm gonna put a subdivision up there. They could do that, to come back and ask to do it. Well, you have roughly 15.5 acres out of that plot over there to work with, and it's a very irregular, use of property that's not wetlands. And I've seen your delineation report. The best I could see was that you'd eke out maybe 7 acres thereabouts on the north end where your C3 would be, which means that maybe in a rectangle you could get 5.5 acres. You can put up quite a building there. So I sympathize with that. On the flip side, I sympathize with the fact that it remains R3, and somebody could put up quite a number of, units there in the non-wetlands part and make a good go at it. And so I'm really torn with this thing, and I appreciate the fact that if you brought a bunch of your neighbors here, but I struggle with this, and I've struggled with other ones as well. And a lot of ones I didn't vote for had to do with the drainage itself and the need for us doing something before we develop a subdivision. That hasn't happened lately, trust me. But I'm not trying to say that you aren't good intentioned. But these are my thoughts, and I wanted to share that with the people here on the council.
Sure.
Thank you.
So, and certainly I am not in any position to stand up here and argue any of those points. You do a lot of studying of our parish, I'm sure. I wrote down a couple of things that you said. You mentioned tax base. Doesn't do a whole lot of increasing of the tax base. Hopefully the fact that Pedal Valves gets to stay in St. Charles Parish creates a good bit of taxes for this scenario, rather than me having to find a new place to go with our business. And so you're right, I don't think it'll increase a lot of taxes, but maybe it keeps us from losing some. You mentioned the amount of size. Is it going to be big enough for pedal valves or not? We have an acre that we're on right now. The 5 acres up there in front will be plenty for pedal valves. It's really a matter of parking that we've run out of. The space is so small that we're at now. And look, it's been great for 30 years. If I wouldn't have hired some more employees, then I'd probably be just fine, and I would not be moving. But I've brought in some more people, and now we're running out of parking. 5 acres gives us plenty of land to be able to park at right there. So drainage, Danny Hebert is going to do my drainage study, so it's I've spoken to him about it already, but I haven't spent that money on it because we haven't gotten past this step. Certainly I'm not going to do anything that's going to flood the area, all the neighbors that are through there, as well as my 76 apartments that I've got such an investment in up front.
Mr. Mobley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Gilbert, I met with you a week ago today, and I was in approval of what you planning on doing. But now that I see that our planning and zoning denied your request, I got a hard time approving something that they can't approve. I don't even know why we're even voting on this when it didn't pass planning and zoning. I thought once it was denied by planning and zoning, it didn't even get to this point. So, I'm sorry, a week ago, I was in approval, but now I'm gonna have to deny the request.
Okay.
Maybe next, you put it back together in a different kind of way and come back, maybe it'll pass. But I believe the majority of the people that live in that Lakewood subdivision, they do not approve of what you want to do there. They want it residential. That's what they want. They want it residential. They want it to stay residential. And I think, I know you had a lot of people come here and spoke for you, with very few from the actual subdivision, that the people that live there that spoke for you,
I'm not sure that's true.
I just think it needs to stay residential.
Yeah, just to clear that up a little bit, there are a lot of people here. And, if you guys decide to vote this down, I could tell you, I will go home feeling great about the number of people that showed up in support of this. It's been overwhelming to me, and my wife's just about in tears over there listening to it. But I can tell you the people that live in that subdivision are absolutely in favor of this. There were a couple of people that may have said something different, but, I got email after email after email from people that live in that subdivision saying, the fact is, I can't get an extension. The reason I can't get an extension grant on my purchase agreement is there's got to be something else going on. So what's going on behind the scenes is that when this gets denied today, or if this gets denied today, which I hope it doesn't, somebody else is ready to move in and buy this property and turn it into a subdivision apartment complex up front. And I promise you, the people that live in that subdivision do not want that. They don't understand, or they didn't understand previously. You saw a couple of the people that came up here and spoke. They were at the planning and zoning meeting last time they had it. Mr. Romano that was back there, I hadn't met him. And he spoke against it at the last planning and zoning meeting, but after understanding what the options are, he changed his mind and came up and spoke in
I'm
favor
going
of
to
it.
stop you. We got to keep moving here. There'll be a couple more questions for you, so I don't want you to go away. But I want to kind of go through that. Ms. Skiba, you had a question?
Just basically a comment and a little bit of explanation for the people that are here. When an applicant goes to the Planning and Zoning Department and requests a rezone, it's not as simple as a matter of, I want to do this because. There is a series of 3 criteria that the applicant is rated on, yes or no, based on whether or not it meets the criteria that is written in our St. Charles Parish ordinance. The ordinance states, and this is Appendix A, Section 15, Part D, the proponent for a change should present reasonable factual proof that 2 or more of the following criteria are met. This request failed all 3 criteria. That's the first point. It goes on to state that the proposed rezoning does not create a spot zone that is incompatible with the surrounding neighborhood. By definition, this is also a spot zone. An additional requirement of C3 zoning, it's also called highway commercial, is that it must connect. This is a requirement in our parish ordinance that it has to connect to either arterial, local industrial, rail, or water. I was a little bit confused about the local industrial, where the comma was, if it was local, comma, industrial, or if it was one term. So I reached out to Mr. Albert for clarification, and he confirmed to me that it is one term, it's local industrial. And it does not have any of those modes of transportation connected to this piece of property. So, to echo what Mr. Pillier said, that it's not a popularity contest, and honestly, this is a very, very difficult position to be sitting in right now. There are many people here in favor of it, and we see that. We did receive many emails, though, today also, from people who do live in properties that butt up against it, that are against it. We have seen both. I have received emails from friends. I've received text messages from friends, both for and against. So at the end of the day, I really just have to look at the rule of the law, and that is what's written in our St. Charles Parish ordinance, and that is why I cannot support this tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Keever. Mr. Bruyere.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know your family very well, and I appreciate all the people that have come out in support. There's no doubt how much you're valued in the community and respected. The question I have is that I know, there's been questions about, the R2 or the C2 or the C3, and you were saying how there's a timeline, that you have the purchase agreement, but there's a timeline on that. So really, you can't have an extension. But I'm hearing, and I don't know if that's true or not, one of the gentlemen that spoke, he said, you said that you were going to buy it anyway and develop a neighborhood, a residential neighborhood, and then see how that works, I don't know if that's true or not, but I know how passionate you are about this area. I mean, obviously, you really, really want this, based on the phone calls and you've shown it in the emails, the phone calls, the text messages and so forth, just bringing people out here and so forth. If it's that important to you, it sounds like there could be, maybe a little bit of negotiation on something, perhaps to buy you some time. If you really want this property, is there a way that, if you do plan on purchasing the property regardless, to where you could get what you're looking for with a few little adjustments or accommodations, perhaps?
I don't plan on purchasing the
Okay.
property regardless.
Okay.
I'm gonna let whoever that other developer is, the guy that said that, he's the same guy that filed the complaint that said, Mr. Gilbert has excessive children laughter at his house on his baseball field. So,
Okay.
that's probably just a personal vendetta, I would think,
Okay.
that's going on
Yeah.
with that.
But is that even something that you?
No, like I've stated multiple
Consider,
times, the sellers won't grant me an extension.
Right.
So that's
but-
that. So I'm
but
not
if you
buying it.
Okay.
If this isn't rezoned, I'm not purchasing it. It doesn't, I'm not gonna risk buying a piece of property that I can't do what I want with.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gilbert. We have more questions for Mr. Gilbert. All right, thank you.
Can I make one more comment?
Okay, I'll give you some latitude.
Okay. So, it sounds like this isn't going in a positive direction. I'm hearing a lot of stuff. I've heard things like, I'm in support of whatever the people want, that's how I move forward with my votes. I've heard things like, if this is what the mass community wants. I've even had people say, Robbie, bring a bunch of people here, and if they're all in favor of it, then the council does what the local citizens want the council to do. It doesn't sound like that's the case. It sounds more like there's one council member on here that has been adamantly against it. Got a piece of property that butts right up against it, has been adamantly against it from the very beginning, and has rallied their friends on the council to give a biased vote on this, rather than a
All right,
vote.
I'm going to stop you, okay? I'm not going to listen I'm not going to have a person defame a council person up here, okay? I've let you talk. I've let everyone talk here, and I'm going to keep it fair. By reputation, you're a hell of a guy. Everybody in here, and there's nobody can disagree with that. Right? As a businessman, you've done very, very well. I invite you to come to Norco. I've got 2 buildings in Norco right now. That pedal valve can fit right in.
St.
Come
Charles,
into it. I'd be more than happy to see you in Norco.
pedal valve's gonna
What
move.
you're doing with your sons, excellent. I ran on that same platform because my son grew up in St. Charles Parish and decided to make St. Charles Parish his home. I can do the same thing for it. This property, whether you buy it or not, okay, is ready to go. You've owned townhouses, you have that. You could go right around with that and still have a place for your sons. So again, and I tell you that, and I appreciate you coming up. I really do. So.
Thank y'all.
All right, I have Ms. O'Daniels, are you, okay, Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm the adjacent property owner that Mr. Gilbert just spoke of. I own adjacent to the proposed C3. I have a family member who also owns property adjacent to the proposed C3. And I have another family member who owns property in the Lakewood East subdivision, approximately 2 houses from the proposed open land. And I'm going to echo what some of the other council members said. This is a difficult process for us. It's not about popularity. I can tell you, people who know me, who've worked with me, I look at everything. And for this particular thing, I had mentioned to Mr. Gilbert during our phone conversation that I think he's done a wonderful job with Grand Ridge and the Park Lake Apartments. However, this, again, is not about his character. It's not about his generosity in our community. When I evaluate rezone requests, I take into consideration the recommendations from the department and the Planning Commission. I also watched the Planning Commission meeting and read the minutes. In this case, as you've heard, the department recommended denial based on the proposed rezoning failing to meet any of the criteria. It doesn't conform to the land development pattern established by the Comprehensive Land Use Plan map, which is low to moderate residential. The land use pattern has not changed to the extent that the existing zoning no longer allows reasonable use of the property. Potential uses permitted by the proposed rezoning will be incompatible with the existing neighborhood character. The Planning Commission also, after a lengthy public hearing, recommended denial. I take into consideration all the phone calls, all the emails received from residents, and we received plenty. I would like to thank all the residents for those phone calls, the emails, and all of you who attended tonight. Your feedback is really important to all of us, and we do listen to all of it. We had feedback, as some of the fellow council members have said, from residents both in support of and not in support of. You know, I've heard a comment about horses. Well, the sign that was posted by the applicant didn't say anything about horses. And, you know, during the initial public hearing, his statement didn't include anything about horses. Yet we have heard that that was mentioned to planning and zoning staff when the application was made, and is the reason why the need for the open land designation. I also have to consider that any applicant, while they may have good intentions, they can end up in the future selling the property. In the future, their needs may change. They can change the usage of the property, and it may end up having heavier impacts on the residents nearby. The parish also just completed a $6 million project to improve the drainage and repave Lakewood Drive. This was after 50 years. It took us that long to get enough money, which we had mostly federal assistance with that. Any additional heavy commercial truck traffic on Lakewood Drive will take a toll on Lakewood Drive. So what wasn't mentioned during public hearing or by any of the council members is that we received documentation confirming that Mr. Gilbert has not complied with the permit process for the addition that was added to his existing pedal valves property. So this also makes us wonder, how can we believe that Mr. Gilbert will be compliant with any permitting requirements to construct on the requested rezone property if this is approved tonight?
defame, but I
He's not defaming.
This is
public
public
record.
record. It's public record.
Public record.
Incorrect
I-
information.
Mr. Gilbert, I gave latitude on a lot of stuff.
I'm giving you
Okay.
latitude.
No, ma'am.
Public hearing
Public
is
hearing is
closed. I grew up on Apple Court off of Lakewood Drive. I'm a lifelong resident. We have never had any issues with the apartments. I'll tell you, at 12 years old, I was a Herald Guide newspaper delivery person on my bicycle after school. And I had the route up and down Lakewood. I had the Park Lakewood Apartments, which were called something different back then. We've never had issues with the apartments, either one. When my husband and I, in our early years in our marriage, he, for additional income, did the maintenance on the other apartments across the street. It used to be called Courtyard Apartments. Again, no issues with any of the apartments. As a council member, we are aware of the need for affordable housing. It's stated throughout the comprehensive plan. Therefore, I have no issue with apartments and single-family residences being developed on the property as it is currently zoned, provided that any draining issues are addressed. So the other thing I wanted to bring up is that the property in question is currently wooded, but various hurricanes and storms have taken a toll and many trees have been lost. During fall and winter months, the woods are not very dense, and you can see a good distance into those woods. Any wooded buffer area may not end up being much of a buffer over time. We've already seen this happen with the 7 acres of wooded wetlands in the nearby Rathborne Park. So for these reasons, I cannot support the requested rezone, and I ask my fellow council members not to support it as well. Thank you.
Ms. O'Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The emotions are running really high, and I just want to make a statement that I don't have buddies or friends. I'm not from here. I was voted in by a district that wanted to see people that looked at the law, evaluated things objectively, and made a decision based on what the law says. I'm not getting emotional about this. I know that this is tough. Small business owner myself. My husband's a small business owner. We own property. We have office space here too. But it was the legal parameters within which this particular zoning request failed that swayed my vote. Thank you.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I listened to the audience, and from what I calculated, there were 35 yeas and 3 nays. And whether you're from the East Bank or the West Bank, you still showed support for Mr. Gilbert. I don't know Mr. Gilbert. I had to ask Heather, who was Mr. Gilbert when he walked in here? I didn't even know him up until just seeing him now. And when I hear the comment from one of my colleagues about if something is denied, I know there have been many a times that the recommendation has been made to deny a case or something, and we have overturned the case here with the council. Also, I've heard about drainage. If this does not pass, and if there are homes that are brought in, wouldn't there be more drainage issues? So I live in District 1, and I live in a district that does not have any pumps, and everybody know that I'm really in on wanting drainage to be up to par. But when you have a possibility of maybe homes that may come in, I think the concern to me would be more on drainage than if you have someone that want to bring in their business, moving it from one area to another area and with the possibility of two homes. So when I read this, I was still going back and forth on it. Even listening to the residents here, I was still going back and forth, but I still like to tally up. So I am going to support this. I'm not exactly sure what my colleagues are going to do, but I am going to support this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. I'm going to let Mr. Commodore speak. This will be your second time, Will.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Albert, just a quick question. How do we have a future land use map showing this 43 acres as a subdivision when 27 acres is deemed wetland by the federal government? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it's simply the potential use of the property,
So with the potential, someone's going to come in and mitigate.
presumably, yes.
Yeah, so our maps are presumably. That's not very confident when we keep referring to this, and people have referred back to something that, oh, we have a land map, but nothing identifies the wetlands in this parish if we're saying they could be mitigated. So all the people who are wanting trees and wanting wetlands are looking at what is currently zoned, but it's not even suitable for that unless someone comes in and mitigates. So, I mean, a subdivision can't come knock this thing down without a hellacious process of going through the Corps of Engineers. So there's a lot of work to be done for anyone who wants to develop this into anything more than what Mr. Gilbert's already looking at.
Michael, you want to?
All I would say is that the land use maps, both the one from the current land use plan as well as the previous one, and probably the one prior to that, all of that's based on existing zoning. So since the land had already been granted the zoning rights, when they create the existing land use map and the future land use map, it's rolled up from there. So whenever the zoning was granted, which was probably 81, it's continued on from then.
Thank you, Michael. Mr. Pearley, this will be your second time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I looked at some past cases that we had reviewed and voted on over this year. I don't think I have all of them, but these are significant. OT properties in months, that was an open land to R1A, reverse process. And it was approved by the P&Z, approved by the Planning Commission, and then the vote at the council failed it. And that had to do with inadequate concerns about inadequate timing of drainage going forward. Another one was Geraldine Sanders. She's the owner of property over behind the courthouse in Hanville. That one was approved by the Planning and Zoning Department. Planning Commission also approved it. That one got approved. Whitney Properties in Old Luling. He wanted to go from C2 to C3, small plot, didn't pass. It was denied at the Planning and Zoning. It was approved by the commission. Then it failed at the council level. Bayou Bahamas in AMA, and they were putting in from OL and R1AM to R1M, basically a motorhome. And it was approved at the Planning and Zoning level. It was denied at the commission, but it was approved by this council. So point is that we do look at things very, let's say, in detail and weigh what impact there will be. I will say also that of the three bigger pieces of property, OT, Geraldine Sanders, and Bayou Bahamas, all three of those entities showed up with a proposed layout of what they planned to put on that space that they were trying to get rezoned. And unlike what we'd seen here until later on. And so my point is, I don't see it having a total analog, but it hasn't been handled the same way. And then I look at the mitigation cost, which I think is somewhere to the tune of $80,000 to $100,000 per acre. So if somebody's to develop this, you know, that remaining acreage is going to cost many millions of dollars. So the chances are, what somebody else was saying, is that it may sit there for quite a long time, And then it'd be many years before anything could happen, just by virtue of permitting. And we heard that earlier in the meeting, but I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pillay. Is there any other council discussion? Ms. Fonseca.
Mr. Chairman, as the adjacent property owner, I'm going to abstain from voting tonight.
All right, thank you for your, all right, seeing no further council discussion, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0405. And that motion fails. All righty, we're going to take a 10-minute recess so we can get the chamber cleared, and we'll take a break. Everybody's back?
Let's do this.
Y'all ready? All right, we're gonna get back together on this thing, so. All right, next on the agenda is ordinances scheduled for public hearing introduced at a previous meeting. 2024-0399 is an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of change order number 1, the final, for the automated water meter reading installation program, project number WWKS 106, to decrease the contract amount by $124,520. Mr. Gordon.
Members of the council, Parish President Jewell, this, as it is, Pedal Valves did a good job for us on this project. They came in under budget, $124,520, and we had to delete and deduct and revise some work items in that. But other than that, I'll be here to answer any questions regarding the change order.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. File number 2024-0399 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0399. And that passes unanimously. All right, 2024-0400, an ordinance to rescind ordinance number 24-5-10 and approve a purchase and/or expropriate 10,275-foot perpetual drainage servitude designated as parcel P-100 and a 1,432 square foot temporary construction servitude designated as parcel T-100 over property owned by Christina Larcell Incorporated for the Muntz Pump Station and Drainage Modification Project. Mr. Oob.
Thank you. As indicated, on May 20th, 2024, the council approved an ordinance to allow the parish to either purchase or expropriate the drainage servitude and the temporary construction servitude. Due to the lapse of time, an updated appraisal was needed. You'll see in the indication on the ordinance, the new appraisal fair market value has been established as $59,756. So this ordinance asks for the rescission of the prior one and to allow St. Charles Parish to either purchase and or expropriate the property for the new appraised price. If there are any questions about the details of the work and the need for the servitude and temporary construction servitude, Mr. Sam Sholey is here to answer those questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Oob. File number 2024-0400 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, is there any council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-04-400. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you for your support. I do appreciate it. All right, 2024-0401, an ordinance creating the Luling Bridge Economic Development District Number 1 of the Parish of St. Charles, the state of Louisiana, to encourage economic development projects in accordance with and as authorized by Part 2 of Chapter 27 of Title 33 of the Louisiana Revised Statutes of 1950 as amended, defining the boundaries, therefore, and providing for all other matters in connection with the foregoing. File number 2024-0401 is going to be deferred until after file number 2024-0386 being heard tonight. All right, we'll move on to the next one. 2024-0402, an ordinance to amend the 2024 Consolidated Operating and Capital Budget to adjust beginning fund balances to actuals and to adjust revenues and expenditures in various funds. Mr. Dewsome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is our annual final budget, so this will officially close out the 2024 final budget. This is our final budget amendment. Recently, in last year, actually, it was requested or required that this be approved prior to year end, whereas in the past, we used to approve this 2 or 3 months into next year, so we knew exactly what those numbers are. Because the goal is to come within plus or minus 5% of budget to actual, which is what this is attempting to do. And so we're submitting it here, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dewsome. File number 2024-0402 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Grant, this pretty much just balances everything out and
It knocks everything down to
puts us right
actual.
on the money. Awesome, okay. All right, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0402. And that motion passes unanimously. All right, 2024-0403, an ordinance adopting the St. Charles Parish Council Road and Bridges Capital Program Budget for fiscal years 2025 through 2027 in accordance with the Parish Transportation Act. Mr. Dewsome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As stated, the Parish Transportation Act requires us to adopt a 3-year budget for our road maintenance program, and since they give us $500,000 a year, we're happy to comply with that. So essentially what we've done is we take the 2025 budget that was just approved by you guys in November. That includes that $500,000 plus $1 million that Miles put in his paved streets budget, which is 1.5, and then we simply add $500,000 for the next 2 years. And then next year we'll be doing the same thing, whatever the 2026 budget is, and then 500, 500, and so on and so forth forever.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. All right. File number 2024-0403 is now open for a public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? All right, seeing none. Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0403. And that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
All right. 2024-0404, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 8, Elections, Section 8-2, Visible Voting Precinct Boundaries and Polling Places to merge certain voting precincts and to establish new boundaries for merged precincts. All right, so in your agenda, you will see part of it is that precinct 6-3 and 6-8 were previously unable to merge due to conflicting with the older congressional districts. Well, with the Realignment Act and the redistricting and the ruling of the Supreme Court, we now can merge these precincts. And I think after the public hearing, I have Mr. Champagne here in the audience if anybody's got any questions. So, file number 2024-0404 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. All right, seeing none. Is there any council discussion? All right, seeing none. Please cast your votes for file number 2024-0404. And that motion passes unanimously. All right, 2024-0406, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a services agreement with the Dynamics Group LLC to perform emergency repairs and/or debris removal for the parish buildings and facilities. Ms. Campos.
Thank you, Council Chairman. This contract was solicited via an RFP to obtain a contractor that would repair buildings and facilities immediately after an emergency event. 6 vendors responded, all of which were scored, and Dynamic Group LLC scored the highest in all technical criteria and also submitted the lowest cost proposal. Therefore, we're recommending award to Dynamic Group LLC.
Thank you, Ms. Campos, and welcome to the council meeting.
Thank you.
All right, file number 2024-0406 is now open for public hearing. If there's one who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0406. And that motion passes unanimously. All right, 2024-0408, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a contract between Jones Kruk Construction Solutions LLC for construction services for the East Bank Bridge Park improvements, the lighting rebid project REC EB 123 in the amount of $1,067,000. Well, did I read that right? Yeah, 667. Mr. Foray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the council, Parish President Jew. So this was actually our second go-around. The first time we put it out for bid, bids came in at $1.4 million and some change. We took it back off the table, did some value engineering, made some slight adjustments, but kept the nuts and bolts of the project intact, and then we rebid it, came back at a little over $1 million, which is in line with the West Bank lighting project that we did just last year. So we feel pretty confident, and the good thing about this one, on the West Bank, we had different contractors doing the turf field and the lighting. This contractor is the actual contractor doing the turf field, so mobilization costs and other costs probably went away by him doing the whole project. So we feel good about the price. We think it's a fair price, and we definitely need the lights to play ball at the East Bank Bridge Park. So I'd ask for your support, and I'll answer any questions you may have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Foray. File number 2024-0408 is now open for public hearing. Is anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion? Mr. Perrier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Foray, I was able to get the information from you, and I printed out parts of it. I'm no expert on electrical construction, but I've been around construction long enough to know. And this is a lot more extensive than people use the word lighting and think what they're going to get for it. You know, so
it's redoing the whole system, conduit, panels, the whole 9 yards.
You got a whole bunch of stuff, billboards, you know.
Column lights to match the LED, restroom and concession upgrades to the lights, so yeah.
So all I was going to say is that I like to do a little bit of due diligence, and I think I've done a bit, and I'm in support of this.
Thank you so much.
So I pretty much see this as encompassing everything your whole lighting needs for the park. It's your total rebuild of the whole park. So.
The tennis courts, the pickleball courts, the ball fields, like I said, upgrading the concession stand and restroom lights.
Perfect. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, what we're doing at East Bank is great, so. Mr. Jewell.
I just want to address a question I think that the council received via email on why these bids are separated instead of just being bid at one time. Normally, turf contractors specialize in just turf. Maybe some fencing and stuff like that, but the lighting is such a big portion of the project that what would happen is a turf contractor would get this job with the lighting included. They would bid to an All-Star Electric or another company, and All-Star did the one on the West Bank, but they would bid to them, mark up their services significantly. The parish would end up being paid more. In this case, the contractor has someone. We're paying less than we did on the West Bank for this lighting. It's less than our engineer's estimate, and I think the contractor is going to be happy that he doesn't have to deal with a sub, or he's in charge of the whole project. So I think just to clarify why we separated these, we did that process on the West Bank. We thought that was successful, and that was an initial recommendation by our engineering firm to do that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Any further council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0408. And that motion passes unanimously. All righty. 2024-0409, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 23, Water, Article 1 in general, Section 23.2, Water Service Charges, 3 charges in Section 23-3, Water Use. So, I received a request from the Department of Waterworks to amend this item, 2024-0409, in Section 1 of the ordinance by replacing the verbiage reading. The meter installation charge shall be equal the cost of the associated meter by size as listed in the St. Charles Parish Automated Water Meter Bid as published by the St. Charles Parish Procurement Office. The meter installation charges by size shall be adjusted biannually as per the St. Charles Parish Automated Water Meter Bid as published by the St. Charles Parish Procurement Office. Those were the changes at the Legislative Committee. The following will be added. The meter installation charge shall equal the cost of the associated meter by size as listed in the St. Charles Parish Automated Water Meter Bid as published by the St. Charles Parish Procurement Office, plus the new water service installation fees published in the Department of Waterworks cost analysis. The meter installation charges by size shall be adjusted biannually and per the St. Charles Parish Automated Water Bid as published by the St. Charles Parish Procurement Department Office. The new water service installation fees shall be adjusted annually and published in the Department of Cost. I believe we talked about this in the legislative meeting, so we're going to go through that. I had talked to Mr. Oob and confirmed that this will be good. We can do this change. It's replacing it. It's going to replace it. So, as we said, 2. All right, in addition, an additional request from the Department of Waterworks to amend in Section 2 is the rates. $4.59 will now be $4.54. $6.65 will now be $6.57. $8.43 will be $8.34. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. After the last meeting, Jessica and the department were just going back through the ordinance and looking at it, and Jessica found a small, small problem with the formula used in her proration sheet. And so upon readjusting that, we noticed that the charge was slightly higher than what it was supposed to be based off of the cost of living. So we just wanted to make that change there. The proration sheet had been updated after the council passed the ordinance last year to cap us at a 2.5% increase. Unfortunately, when the proration sheet was updated after that, it wasn't quite reflecting it in on the formula. So we were close, but we were a little high. So we wanted to make that change. I spoke with the legal department, and they are fine with that change being made as well.
I need a motion to amend the file. I have a motion by Mr. Comadale and second by Ms. DeBruyer. Now we get to the council discussion part on the amendment. So, file number 2024-0409 now is open for public comment. Is there anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this amendment? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. Okay. Seeing none, the public comment is now closed. We have council discussion. Ms. O'Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just, point of order on the amendment. Section 2, are you amending Section 2, subsection C and D, or just subsection C?
Both sections.
C and D.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Jewell.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chairman. I was just going to mention, I failed to say when I first explained the amendment that it would be for Section C and D. Ms. O'Daniels clarified that.
Mr. Perrier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This button is really bad. It's punishment for something, I don't know what it is. But, Mr. Gordon, thank you for, today we talked, and the table that you gave, at least to me, and I had it sent through the secretary, and she's distributed it to everybody, but I only asked that because I was confused about the, number one, section 23-2, water services charges, one installation charges, and it was scratched out, but it didn't have any other charge. And you explained that to me, but maybe it'd be worth explaining that to others, given this
So
sheet.
we, since it will be based upon the paragraph that the council chair just spoke, those two numbers will be put together. Those charges in 2025, and we provided this to you, but I just wanted to go over it since you brought this up, the proposed fee for the new installation. So, and these are one-time fees that are for new construction, new installation, not affecting any of the existing customers. The new charge for 5/8, 3/4 will be $1,200, 1 inch $1,500, and a 2 inch $3,500. And so since that will move, as the two items that are discussed in that paragraph move over time, we will not have that set number in there like we did before. And that's why it's crossed out.
Thank you.
So Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Gordon, as amended, so this is going to refer to go look somewhere else for it. And basically, go look somewhere else for this number.
Yes, yes.
Where can the public access this number?
So we publish our fees at the beginning of every year. So that's in our tariff, the rate schedule, which is posted on the website. And those two items we can make available, we will make available. They actually are on the various websites on the parish, like, for example, with the bids and such, and our cost analysis. But we can, in light of this, we'll probably put together a little information thing that we can give customers to show what those two items are.
That's fine. And also a way for us to find it if we just want to search for it or,
Find a way
yeah,
that we'll put it on there.
But then call it a tariff or whatever, put the
Yes.
whole thing, the whole deal in one place.
Yes,
So that
ma'am.
when a resident calls, we can point to it.
Yes, we
Yeah,
can
okay.
provide
Thank
that to you, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Is there any further councilors? Mr. Jewell?
Yes, Chairman, I was just going to say the rates are published online. In fact, I found the rates for today. I did want to address one thing because I did see a little bit of misinformation before this meeting out on the interwebs. And what was being alluded was that we're changing the rate from $3.40 now to $4.54. $6.65 to, or $5 to $6.57 and $6.40 or $8.43 to $8.34. I just want to make sure the folks at home listening and the council just recall back to our last council meeting where we had this committee meeting and talked about this, that those were the original rates set in 2015 or 2016. We did want to strike those from the ordinance, but it was advised that we had to have a place in ordinance where we actually set rates, and that is this ordinance. So the strike-throughs that you see are very old. They don't reflect today's values, and that the new values will be set. And I'm sure our council 10 years from now will be looking at the same thing going, these are the old rates. But I just wanted to make that clear. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Is there any further council discussion? All right, seeing, Mr. Colmadale.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Gordon, I know this is just something we're approving now, but I've had several residents call me about the charge for our bill processing over the phone has went up by 65%. Is that anything you can
I'll go
acknowledge?
take a look at it, and I'll ask you. I spoke with Ms. Narcan before, after you brought that up to me. I don't think that's true. They wouldn't have changed it from the $2 or something to $8, so we will look into
Okay.
that, and we'll let you know.
Yeah, because I was told it went
And
from
if there is
$2.95 to
if there is an issue
$8.35.
with that, we will have to address that with them. That's somewhat exorbitant.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes to amend file number 2024-0409. And that motion passes unanimously. All right, so file number 2024-0409, as amended, is now open for public hearing. Does anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, our public comment is closed. Is there any council discussion? I think we done discussed this pretty much, huh? All right. All right, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0409 as amended. And that motion passes unanimously. All right, 2024-0410, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Pontchartrain Levy District, PLD, and the St. Charles Parish, agreeing to transfer ownership, and at which time St. Charles Parish will assume all maintenance, repairs, and operations of the Cross Bayou Pump Station. Mr. Oob.
Thank you. As indicated in the ordinance, this is a cooperative endeavor agreement, a CEA, between St. Charles Parish and the Pontchartrain Levy District, PLD. What we're asking is for the council to approve allowing the parish president to authorize the CEA and any all necessary documents. Specifically, the CEA only changes the agreement with regard to Cross Bayou Pump Station. So what it does is, as reflected in, if you look at in sections, I guess in the now therefore it is agreed as follows, section 4 on page 3, actually page 92 of the agenda, that it will terminate the old CEAs, which are various amendments, as they pertain to Cross Bayou Pump Station only. The old CEAs, I'm going to call them old CEAs, they are still in effect for all other pump stations with regard to the Pontchartrain Levy District. If approved by the council, you'll see on the previous page, page 2, page 91 of the agenda, in return for the transfer of ownership, PLD will also be making payments, and those payments are itemized. The total payments are $7.5 million, the first payment being $3.5, and then each year thereafter, $1 million. Mr. Palamon can discuss the needs for those payments with regard to getting the pump station up to the proper operations and maintenance. In return for that, ownership, operation, maintenance, repairs will be fully with St. Charles Parish. We're also, if approved, PLD and St. Charles Parish are going to sign any and all necessary documents which are approved in this ordinance to make the transfer of the pump station, any land, the immovable property that's necessary for that transfer, and any necessary transfer of permits to St. Charles Parish. Well, we're still working on finalizing those. We're hoping to have those executed in a very near future if St. Charles Parish Council approves this CEA. So I defer to Mr. Palamon with regard to the details.
Yeah, so currently, we are jointly paying for the operation and maintenance of the pump station with PLD. All of the maintenance and operation costs are split 50-50, with this parish paying 100% of the fuel cost. All that will be the responsibility of the parish now. What we did in '21, we had a walk down. We hired an engineering firm to walk down the major components of the station, and we came up with a list of improvements or repairs that needed. One of those obviously being that we want to operate the station remotely. Currently, it's being operated, it's a manned station when there's any kind of storm come out. So BLD has to put a man into a container and position them out at the station during an event. We're going to put it into the remote mode like we have most of our major stations, which I'm sure you all are very familiar with. In addition to that, we've already began to start the planning process for a couple of key components that we're going to have to start improving come January 2025 when we get the initial payment of $3.5 million. And a couple of those that are important are the automatic lube system for the gearboxes when we start it up. Also, a water cooling system in case there's a loss of water power. And I think if you remember, Parish President Jewell mentioned something about that in his presentation today. Additionally, we're going to improve the fuel delivery systems, installing day tanks. So all these are key components to keep the pump station running operation smoothly. We're going to keep BLD around. They've got a long history with the station, so we may use them on a consultation basis occasionally and possibly even doing some of the construction work. Again, $3.5 million in January. I'll pick that check up first week in January. And then they can pay $1 million a year. They can advance the payments, whatever their pleasure is, till we get to the $7.5 million. We anticipate that the maintenance and operations costs of this station are going to go down. I think on the summary I sent you, we're currently paying in the neighborhood of $350,000 a year, doubling that at $600,000 to $700,000. If you recall, when Mr. Miles Bingham gave the report on the pump station, we're going to put this station into our system of maintenance and operations. And if you remember that graph where the repair costs were coming down on all of our major stations and was leveling out with the maintenance, we're anticipating that happening here. So we should be saving money in the long run once we get everything operational and it's fully engaged into our maintenance and operations program.
Thank you, Mr. Palamone. All righty. File number 2024-0410 is now open for public hearing. Does anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Council discussion. Mr. Pillier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In talking with Mr. Palamone this morning, Mr. Palamone, you were saying to me that really the levy boards or the levy authorities don't really run pump stations normally, and in our adjacent parishes, is that the case as well?
Yeah, typically levy districts maintain the levy systems, but the pumps are usually operated by the local governments.
Thank you.
Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to add a little bit of history here. The 2016 Cooperative Endeavor Agreement was drafted by Sam Sholey and myself and Bobby Raymond, and it includes a lot more than just addressing the Cross Bayou Pump Station, which at the time, Pontchartrain Levy District did want to maintain ownership. So that is why that it was like that previously. We also had the millage that got approved in 2015. And as we've heard before at these meetings, part of that millage was the maintenance and operations and rehabilitation and it's a long spiel of our levee systems. So anything in the alignment of our levee systems, including pump stations, can be funded, maintained, operated with the use of that millage revenue. We've already received an email from a resident asking about that. Well, that is what is going to pay for this pump station when this agreement takes effect, if approved tonight. So just a little history there so that y'all understand that's why this is the only thing changing in that Cooperative Endeavor Agreement. The rest of it will stay in effect.
Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to kind of add to that, Ms. Fonseca mentioned that they retained ownership. The original idea was that they were going to build the station and turn it over to the parish immediately. Through whatever reasons and whatever long drawn-out story that happened, it did not happen that way. And so we've been operating under this agreement, and we believe that served us well. But we believe now's the time to take the station, operate it, with our crews. We do believe that the cost of O&M is going to come down significantly. We won't be paying a contractor to do that. But I just want to say thanks to Monica Gorman and all of the commissioners at the BLD for working with us. It's been a very time-consuming process. We have been very pragmatic and very cautious along the way, making sure that we, not only through the use of an engineer, but the use of our own forces, identify every single problem that could be, an issue for us, and make sure that we are getting some sort of payment to bring the station back up to as new as a station can be, one of this age. But again, just thanks to the PLD board, our folks here at St. Charles Parish for all of their work on it. Corey, your work with the legal counsel over there. And then I just want to say a special thanks to BLD and Dan Wagner. They've done a terrific job running that station. And I don't think there's anybody out there besides Dan and his team who knows that station better. And so we probably will have to use them as we move forward and make improvements that we think are important, like the fuel delivery system, like the transition to running it with telemetry and whatnot. And again, I want to say thanks to just Miles, Mike, the whole team, Mr. Sam for your work on it as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Doesn't change any agreements or anything on future levy lifts, and we'll still be responsible. I know Mr. Sam's talked about our responsibility for when we do the East Bank Hurricane Protection Levy, so that doesn't absolve us of anything like that.
No, this is just strictly to the pump station itself. As Councilwoman Fonska said, when the CEAs were carved, or were created, it was not only for the actual physical station assets, but it was also for the physical levy itself. And future levy lifts, the parish will maintain a cost share for those.
And there's not any changes that'll be done the way that pump stations run, right?
No, I've made it very clear that we want to intend to operate it as we are right now. And I think we want to work with the Corps to maybe tweak some of the permits to make sure that we are, just operating in a manner that's consistent with where they are.
Okay. I think Ms. O'Daniels would like to say something.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This question is for Mr. Oob. Page 92. Once this donation takes place and transfer of the property is complete, I'm not understanding these cross indemnities here and insurance requirements.
So, of course, the reason for the indemnification.
Your microphone.
The reasons for the indemnification is also for the fact that there's going to be areas that are surrounding, not just the pump station that PLD will continue to be a part of. We haven't defined exactly what the parameters are going to be of what's going to be donated. So to the extent some of that ownership overlaps, we felt it best to have the mutual indemnification agreements and the mutual insurance agreements for the indemnification. If any of that comes to a part where it needs to be changed at some point, we'd of course come back to the council with a new agreement. But we want to make sure we're still protecting the integrity, as Ms. Fonska said, of the overall other agreements, that wasn't in jeopardy with regard to the surrounding areas.
And that's fine, and I'm sure risk management will be able to determine whether there's even any monetary difference in having these as an add-on. But it just seemed a little strange if we were transferring, we were receiving the ownership while we were still including them as an additional insured.
Correct, and I explained exactly what those reasons for that was. And actually, we've been operating under that way for quite some time now with fuel. So we've always had them as additional insured in the past. So it's not going to be an increase in any way. In fact, once we take ownership, some of the indemnification aspects would probably reduce our risk to have to indemnify PLD. But not knowing exactly what areas around it and where they would have access to or not, we felt it best to keep PLD in all indemnification agreements and insurance requirements.
All right, thank you.
All righty. Thank you. Is there any further council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0410. Okay, and that motion passes unanimously. Okay, resolution, open pursuant to Louisiana RS 339038.32 to hear any objections to the creation of an economic development district to be called the Luling Bridge Economic Development District Number 1 at the public meeting on Monday, December 16th, 6 p.m., Council Chambers Courthouse, 2024-0386. A resolution authorizing the publication of a notice of intention to create Luling Bridge Economic Development District Number 1 of the Parish of St. Charles, the state of Louisiana, under the authority of Part 2, Chapter 27 of Title 33 of the Louisiana Revised Statutes of 1950, and as amended, LARS 339038.1, and providing for other matters in connection with. All right, file number 2024-0386, now open for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, our public comment is closed. 2024-0401, an ordinance creating the Luling Bridge Economic Development District 1 of the Parish of St. Charles, the state of Louisiana, to encourage economic development projects in accordance with and as authorized by Part 2 of the Chapter 27 of Title 33 of the Louisiana Revised Statutes of 1950 as amended, defining the boundaries therefore and providing for other matters in connection with the foregoing. I have received a request to amend file number 2024-0401 by adding Councilwoman Wilson as a co-sponsor. I need a motion on the floor by Mr. Bruyere, second by Ms. O'Daniels, to amend the file 2024-0401 to add Councilwoman Wilson as a co-sponsor. All righty. File number 2024-0401 is open for public comment. If there's anyone like to come up and speak regarding this amendment, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, public comments closed. Any council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes to amend file number 2024-0401. All right, that motion passes unanimously. Mr. Fauché, would you like to come up and explain this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, everyone. This is the final step in creating the district. You may recall that a few meetings ago, you all passed the the resolution to state your intent and to advertise your intent for 2 weeks, plus advertise the boundaries of the proposed district. The boundaries of the proposed district are are attached to the ordinance. As stated previously, it includes all of the property on the north side of the rail line at the corner of Ashton and River Road. The district, we were asked to create the district by one of the landowners within that proposed district. They are seeking to create a potential retail development there that would be pretty much one of its kind here in the parish. This would be another, if you approve this, this would be the next step in the potential creation of a TIF district, whereas we would look at the possible levy of an additional sales tax there. However, the first step, we can't proceed with that step until we create the boundaries of the district. I'm going to stick around if you have any questions. I also have the owners here of the new development in case you have questions.
Thank you, Mr. Fauché. File number 2024-0401 as amended is now open for public comment. Does anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
How you doing? My name's Darren Helm. I live at 105 Black Claiborne Court in Ashton Plantation, that adjacent to this property. We are one of the developers that owns the property that did go to the parish this year or 2 years ago to start this process. So I am here, have my partner here, willing to answer any questions that y'all may have. I just wanted to make sure y'all knew I was present at the meeting, and I'm here to answer any question to be as transparent as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. All right, does anyone else want to speak? All right, seeing none, our public comment is closed. Council discussion. Mr. Bruyere.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The area that's in question that I'm sponsoring is basically called a federal food desert, which means that we need to be creative to have development come into St. Charles Parish for jobs and retail space in that area. Every time as a developer comes in to do something like this, it brings in short and long-term jobs, which will have an overall benefit to the parish along with the added resources to the community. This is just the first step. in now being able to move forward to create the collective agreement that will outline the terms and use of the economic district. The parish and the developer will be able to work together on this and bring back to us for approval. So I'd ask you for your support on this tonight.
Is there any further council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0401 as amended. And that motion passes unanimously. Awesome. Great job. All right, resolutions. 2024-0418, a resolution waiving the 500-foot distance requirement from a protected organization and allowing the Department of Planning and Zoning to issue zoning clearance for the retail sale of prepackaged alcoholic beverages intended for off-site consumption for KS Discount Express located at 12139 Highway 90 in Luling as requested by Fayud Azar. Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You actually explained it pretty succinctly there. The only thing I'd say as a reminder is prepackaged sales, it's things you would walk into a grocery store, pick up and leave with. It's not on-site consumption. And the required letters of no objection are in your packet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. File number 2024-0418 is now open for public comment. If does anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Mike Nimbu, 1104 Primrose, Bootsy, 70039. This comes at a very good time for us business-wise, especially when Dixie leaving, Aldi coming in. Aldi is known to carry a lot of their own products and not necessarily like they carry Budweiser and Southern Eagle, but they slim down their beer and liquor choices and their wine. So us able to have that same permit that they're going to be requesting just for packaged liquor and wine would benefit us, and we're a local company. So I appreciate your support.
Thank you, Mr.
Any questions? Thank you.
All right. Does anyone else like to come up and speak regarding the item? Okay, seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Do you have any council discussion? Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm ex officio member of the library board. Library board members did not have any issue with this change, and I'd ask that you support it as well. Thank you.
Ms. O'Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question for Michael Albert. Is this something that can be done on a case-by-case basis, and there's a process for it with your department in case somebody wants to sell packaged liquor within a protected zone?
Yes.
Okay. And this is just next to a library, not a school?
Correct.
And no one objects?
Correct.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Daniels. Any further council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your vote for file number 2024-0418. And that motion passes unanimously. Appointments. 2024-0345, resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Board of Adjustments as the District 1 representative. The council will confirm the nomination from the District 1 council member to fill a vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Ms. Olivia Tate. A 4-year term to begin December 7, 2024, and expire December 7, 2028. Ms. Tate has served 2 consecutive terms and cannot be reappointed. We did defer this from the November 18th meeting. The nominee is Ms. Wilhelmina Simmons. Please cast your vote for the appointment of Ms. Wilhelmina Simmons to the St. Charles Parish Board of Adjustment as a District 1 representative. And that motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Ms. Simmons. Okay, 2024-0379, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Planning and Zoning Commission as a District 3 representative. The council will confirm the nomination from the District 3 council member to fill the unexpected vacancy caused by the resignation for the term of Mr. James Joseph Kreitzer Jr. Unexpired term will begin immediately and expire May 31st, 2024. Our nominee is Mr. Webb J. Please cast your votes to confirm the appointment of Mr. Webb J. to the St. Charles Parish Planning and Zoning Commission as a District 3 representative. All right, that passes unanimously. All right, meetings, announcements, notices, etc. Meetings, the Housing Authority, Tuesday, December 17th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers. The Board of Adjustment, the ZBA, Thursday, December 19th, 2024, 6 p.m. in the council chambers. The St. Charles Parish Council, Monday, January 6, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers. Some announcements we have. The Parish Holiday, Tuesday, December 24th, 2024, and Wednesday, December 25th, 2024, for the Christmas holiday. We have a Parish Holiday Tuesday, December 31st, 2024, and Wednesday, January 1st, 2025, for the New Year's holiday. There will be a 3-week lapse between council meetings. Our next regular council meeting will be held on Monday, January 6th, 2025, in the council chambers in the courthouse. I do want to take a point and say thank you for this year. I know it's been rough, but I think we've learned together. I know tonight will most probably go down as my second longest council meeting, but I want to thank y'all for it. So I need a motion and a second to adjourn. I have a motion by Ms. Skeeb, a second by Ms. Wilson. Please cast your votes to adjourn. Mr. Peeler, you want to go home tonight?
Mr. Commodore.
Mr. Commodore, y'all want to go home?
Mr. Daniel Walker. Mr. Bullion. Michelle. So we can get out of here. Mr. Daniels.
That's a good idea.
Ms. O'Daniels. Hey, and that motion passes unanimously. On behalf of the Parish Council, we wish all of you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Have a great evening. We're officially adjourned.